PIT Symposium that I attended was in 1997. It took place in the sports club in Katu at the Sishan Iron Ore Club. There were a lot of moustaches in the room. Everybody was wearing khaki. The subjects of the presentations were mostly narrowly framed engineering problems. At the time, climate change wasn't really a thing yet, and email had just been invented. Fast forward to today, and we have Exxaro's first virtual PIT symposium. The challenge posed by the COVID lockdown looked like a big problem, but we soon realized that it was an opportunity to evolve and change the symposium into something completely new. If we look at the subject matter being presented today, we'll see that it's a lot more holistic. Our young people have a very clear understanding of the role that our company plays in our communities and in our country. They are truly striving to empower better lives in Africa and beyond. They are also much better groomed and more snappily dressed than we were back in the day. But some things have not changed in the symposium. It is still a highlight on the calendar for our professionals in training, but also for our coaches and mentors who look forward to see what our young people have learned during the year. It also still reflects the culture and the values of our company. As you can see, we are digital to the core, and our PITs have connected to Next in new and innovative ways. Indeed, the rest of us have a lot of catching up to do. A warm word of welcome to everybody, those at the connection today, those joining us via live stream, to our board members, to our ExCo, and to our CEO. Mtolisi, thank you for your support. I'll never forget the way that you smiled at us when we pitched this format to you, and I hope that we will exceed your expectations today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Greetings to our PIT finalists, our wonderful audience that is in our midst, and those watching live from the comfort of their homes or offices, and our guest judges. I greet you all. I would like to greet Alex, DeAngelis, Kate, Ntetwa, Mongezi Veti, Tamara Kwatekana. Judges, I would like you to remove your masks as we are socially distanced and we are on camera. PITs, same goes to you when you are on stage. I would like to officially welcome you to Exxaro's 2020 Annual PIT Symposium. One of our culture themes talks about adaptation, and we have shown as an organization that we can adapt even in the toughest environment. This year has not been a good year, to say the least, across the world, with the pandemic hitting hard and causing a huge dent on the global economy. We as Exxaro, however, still pushed and made the year endurable because of our culture theme that is engraved in our DNA fabric, to always adapt. I stand here with pride, for our leaders had long prepared us for difficult times like this. Because of our culture, we are still able to bring to you the annual PIT Symposium, but this is not just any symposium. It is the very first, one of its kind, a virtual PIT Symposium. And this year's theme is expanding possibilities. Our young, talented PITs will take us through the wonderful value-adding work they've done over the months. Before we begin the ceremony, I would like to bring to your attention some virtual house rules. Number 1, please control your own volume. 2, if it happens that your screen buffers, please press the refresh button in your browser. Thirdly, pause any updates and downloads for a better stream. The event app is available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Search for Exxaro PIT Symposium and download our app to engage with us during the event. In cases of emergencies like a fire outbreak, I would urge everyone to remain calm and walk to the emergency exit doors on your left and as well as on your right of the venue. Exit using the staircases and assemble at the emergency assemble point outside the building near the gate. As an organization, safety is our #1 priority. And with the very same spirit, I would like to virtually welcome via Skype our first citizen as Exxaro, our CEO, Mr. Mxolisi Nkojo. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sandile. I'm hoping that everybody can see me wherever they are. As you can see, I'm very casual, I'm very relaxed. I'm actually enjoying some of the benefits of the new way of work, where we can get things done, but we don't have to be always too serious. Welcome to the first virtual PIT Symposium, and especially a warm welcome to the men and women who are going to be on stage today. You know, really razzling and dazzling us in this next coming few hours. As Sandile has already indicated, 2020 is really a first in many ways. We were forced out of our comfort zone in a way that we never imagined before. We can all agree that it was a strange and anxious time, but on the positive side, we had to find a way to be better and work differently, and most importantly, appreciate life. Our strategy represents a bold new vision that responds to the needs of our time and adapts to an ever-changing world. We did not envisage that we'll have to change our way of working so quickly. A virtual world opened up for everyone right before our eyes. And we realized that we are able to continue to grow and do business, even if we have to give up on face-to-face interaction. I'm really so excited to see how our company embraced the new virtual world, creating new ways to network, educate, and share knowledge. Our teams were empowered to grow and contribute, and our theme of expanding possibilities were never more true. With this year's PIT Symposium, we can demonstrate that anything is possible with a culture that encourages behaviors such as collaboration, being open and connected, being responsible, and being able to adapt when needed. And that we did. Our young PITs are the first group ever to experience a worldwide pandemic, which added to their challenge to help us envision a company beyond coal. They had to investigate and research a lot of options pertaining to the minerals of the future, renewable energy options, and commercializing some of our services offerings. The complexity of working together virtually also took them outside of their comfort zones, seeking solutions in a multidisciplinary and collaborative way. We need to ensure that our current coal business is managed in a more sustainable way, driving efficiencies and reducing cost while adapting to a new normal and a very different energy future. I am also proud that we can acknowledge the academic performances of our full-time bursars, who also had to continue with their studies during a very difficult and trying times. While the past deserves respect, the future requires vision. The only time it is truly possible to effect change is right now. And I know we can do it. I look forward with great anticipation to see how our PITs have taken on the challenge of this year. And I especially want to experience our first virtual symposium. I believe the impact of this symposium will extend well beyond a computer screen, truly expanding our possibilities. And so to our PITs who are going to be on stage today, I just say to you, well done for having to embrace this new way of having to explore how to do things differently in preparing even for this symposium. We wish you all the best, and we're looking forward to a grand show today. The stage is yours. The platform is yours. We are here and ready to be dazzled. And so, all the best to all of you. And so, now I hand over to Sandile to continue with the rest of the program. Over to you, Sandile.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkolisi. Your words have not gone to waste. We are very lucky as an organization to have such leadership. Moving on to our next segment of the event. I hope our viewers have already watched the videos of all the presenters which were uploaded onto the app. However, we know that some of us might need a refresher course. No need to worry. We are going to play a short video highlight of the presentations before the PITs take to stage to answer questions. This is how the questionnaires would go. Firstly, the audience at home will be given the opportunity to ask questions on the app. 2 or 3 of those questions will be selected beforehand and posed to the presenters. After the questions are answered, the judges will be given an opportunity to roast the PITs. We will now have some engagement with our viewers. Let me quickly explain to you how to poll. Open your app, click on the live poll icon, and there you will find your first poll questions. Let's give it a try. The first question is, where are you joining us from? Is it from the comfort of your home or office? Now, I see that our PITs are busy on their phones as well. They are joining us from the connection. Our judges are here with us as well. You who are at home or at the office, you can also join and answer. I'll quickly show the results. A lot are in Pretoria, bathroom, HQ. Guys, we need to embrace this new way of work. There's quite a lot you can do at the bathroom, hey? But I see, mostly are at home. Now, moving over to our next poll question. What beverage are you drinking at the moment? If you have taken leave, maybe you're somewhere on a holiday, are you drinking wine? And if you are at work, how is the water and juice treating you? Some of the options that are there is coffee, tea, espresso, cream soda, juice, and one of the most favorite and most loved, Sauvignon Blanc. But I see a lot of people are drinking coffee. Others prefer something much stronger. So coffee and, tea, stronger. Something stronger is actually in the second place. But yeah, majority of people are drinking basically coffee. Keep voting, guys. PITs, I see you guys have water. Our judges as well have water. Let's engage on the social app. In the app, you will find a social feed icon. This is where all the fun engagement takes place. Take pictures, post them, and also use to connect with us or with the PITs. Use the hashtag expanding possibilities when posting on Twitter. This will show in the app as well. Post a selfie or comment and tell us how excited you are for this event. Let me see some of the posts that were made by our... Yesterday, I posted 2 or 3 pictures of the event, and with regards to the preparations from the crew, you guys can also post, comment. Let's have fun. I'll come back to some of the posts and comments on the social feed. We are also having a digital artist with us, summarizing the entire event through illustrations. We will show you the progress of this drawing as the event proceeds. Now, moving over to our next segment. Our very first presenter will be Bernard Gutierrez, a second-year metallurgical PIT, and in his project, he used sophisticated computer science skills, such as programming, to develop a system that allows for material to be tracked from the pit to the plant and be able to predict and assist operators on what relative densities the plant should run at. Not only that, the system is able to even track and monitor qualities. Thus, this ensures minimum process efficiencies and maximum product throughput. Bernard, the floor is yours. While he is still coming on stage, let's play the highlight of his presentation. I bring to you Pika 2.0.
Pika 2.0. That is my project, and it is on fully automated quality control. Pika is a program that I've written in Python to automatically adjust the plant's conditions based on the incoming material to maximize the yield that can be obtained. Ashley is a program that can predict in real time the qualities as well as the yield of the core that's being produced. We'll see that there's extremely financial benefit associated with this project without any additional capex that needs to be spent. And what we can see here is everything below the dotted line was when we produced a spec of coal that was below what we actually got paid for. So we effectively left money on the table here. And what Pika tries to do is to use the same plant, the same equipment, and just use some smarter control logic. And that can actually be capitalized then. And on the other hand, we have Ashley. Now, Ashley considers the actual plant conditions and predicts the qualities and yields in real time. And now this is where the crucial difference comes in. Instead of calculating an RD, the actual RD that's used within the plant is considered with the combined washability tables for each specific silo. Then once again, it's washed at that RD, the waste is removed, and the remaining material is sent to the secondary area, where the secondary wash is performed. And then once again, the actual RD is used and not an RD that's calculated. That's once again the difference between Pika and Ashley. And then that RD is used to perform the washing and then provide this additional functionality, which in this case is able to predict the qualities as well as the yield. So Ashley can be considered as a digital online analyzer. So it's able to perform the same proximate analysis with additional capability of predicting the yield. And what is the financial prospects? So when we consider these two numbers, I suppose they are quite impressive. I then went ahead and calculated what is the maximum yield that we could have obtained would we have been able to produce quality exactly on spec. And that's then where this graph on the bottom then comes in. So that is the difference between what we actually produced against what we could have produced.
Welcome to the stage, Bernard. Now,
Thank you,
being
Sandile.
a metallurgist myself, I share his excitement to have GG1, the first plant in South Africa and possibly beyond that has a fully automated quality control system. What a way to kickstart the symposium. Now, moving over to our very first question from the audience. This question comes from JP Duplessis. Does this technology need specific system to operate effectively?
Thank you for that question, and thank you, JP, for asking that question. So, in essence, yes, a specific technology needs to be at the mine already. And in essence, what that is, there needs to be a way to track the material that's coming from the pit, and also what is the properties of the material coming from the tip. So in our case, that would be the geological data. And then there should also be a way to track it to the plant and then have a mass retention system within the plant. For instance, a silo. So basically, those are the two determining factors that just need to be in place for this system to work.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Bernard. Your second question from the audience comes from Jonathan Stewart. He comments, great presentation. You programmed this in Python application. From a sustainability perspective, what are you putting in place so that this project can be maintained and expanded in the future?
That's also a very, very important question. So if I could ask that we just have slide 57 on the screen here. So realizing that this program is specifically dependent on Python and that the sustainability and also the maintainability of this program running forward, even in the case that I'm not even there, can still continue and be rolled out to different mines, it's vitally important that my colleagues also be able to program in Python. So addressing this, I developed a Python training course that Sandilia was actually attending himself, which is quite interesting. So it's basically a course with a fully kickstarting manual. And the course was presented over a full 4 days that addressed these factors. So basically, basic programming, data analysis, and then also plotting, and also challenging the learners to get that conceptual thinking right. And the best thing about this is actually already a SAP approved, or it's on the SAP catalog. So once my other colleagues has completed it as well, they'll be able to load it onto their IDPs. So definitely, I think this would be the way of addressing that, and also make sure that I'm not specifically dependent on the process and also on the progress of this project.
Wow. Thank you so much, Bernard. That is all from the audience. Now moving over to one of my favorite segments. It's time for the judges to roast the PIT. Judges, over to you.
Roasters, yeah.
Good morning, Bernard, and thanks for presenting such a great project at GG. Really appreciate it, and especially when it deals with the financial impacts of the organization. I've got two questions to ask to you today. Firstly, for those who may not be savvy and actually become not those who are experts in your project, would you perhaps tell us about the differences between the PICA 1.0 and PICA 2.0? That's the first question. I just want to give you all the questions, and then you'll go through them. The second one is it deals with the sustainability. Did you at any time think of the impact with respect to the life of mine of your project, and perhaps into the financial liabilities going forward? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. So I just quickly want to pull up a slide again, just addressing what is PICA 1. It's 2 seconds. So that would be slide 46, please. So the reason why we actually chose the name PICA 2, or PICA 2.0, so this was the basic flow of PICA 1.0. So that was just basically taking the trucks, seeing where it ended up in the silo, and then only considering the first wash. where Pica 2 was then the more complex model, which actually considered the first wash going to the secondary wash. And the reason for this, we felt the increase in number, or the second version, was that this was quite a substantially more complex model than this, since it had to be able to track the material through the plant, and not only do that, but also be as accurate as possible in terms of what portion of the material at this first wash is removed as waste, because that is directly determining the final yield and qualities of the project, or of the coal that's being produced. And in terms of the life of mine, so that was not directly considered, although if I can quickly go through the financial slide. If you have any follow-up questions on that, you're welcome to ask them. So that would be slide. So that would be slide 13. So if I can go into a bit more depth on this slide, so what you'll see is specifically in terms of the financial prospects with semi-soft coking coal. Although we are selling it at a price of 1,000 Rand, I actually only considered that to be 685. Since whatever material we are losing as semi-soft, it's not the same with power station. We are sending it back to the pits as waste. Here we are actually just selling it as power station. So in that essence, that's how we specifically addressed the having this be as accurate as possible. And as I also indicated in the pre-recordings, that this is not the maximum theoretical yield, because we are still expecting some variation in that. So I feel that's why we addressed the accuracy and also the sustainability in terms of the financial prospects. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bernard. Once again, congratulations. I think
Thank you.
presented your topic very well. I just have 1, 2, 3, 4. No joking, I just have 2 questions for you. By the way, I was told not to crack any jokes. Apparently, I'm not funny. Okay, I think the first question that I have for you is, how different is this solution to the current spiral solution that is applied at Belfast?
Okay, so that's once again a very good question. So from what I understood, this is similar in the sense that it's trying to track the material. Although one of the key differences in this project is actually using more metallurgically accurate models. So instead of just saying that we have an exact cut in terms of our washability curve, this is actually going a metallurgically sound model. Because if you think about that graph, it's not just going from 100% to 0% when you're cutting it. You actually have this S-curve that's dependent on the actual core properties. And this is where this have a bit of a leg up in terms of spiral, because we can actually incorporate that and get that more accurate results.
Okay, Javi, I hope you had that answer. And then the second question is, I'm a miner myself, so I'd like to understand, as soon as you guys receive the data, what feedback do you guys have back to the pit? I know you use GG1 as an example, but if you apply it to a plant like GG45 that is quite sensitive to contamination, what's that feedback loop back to the pit?
Okay, once again, awesome question. So there's not really a feedback in terms of the mining, since we can't change the material that we are receiving. But the goal of this is to end up where Ashley is being the feedback to Pica, because she can then monitor what we're actually producing, and then say, okay, but we are actually seeing that we are creating a bit of a bias here, and then just adjust Pica's factors dynamically such that we eliminate that bias. So the intent of these two are to work in cohesion, such that we actually have this feedback to this feed-forward system, if we can use a bit of buzzwords here.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks again for me, not being a metallurgist, I think it was a really informative presentation. I think you delivered it very well, so thank you. I also really enjoy the technical side of things, although I can't code myself, but I think it's great to see those 2 aspects coming in. Again, 2 questions from me, probably easier than the others. I think the first one, you mentioned, I think it was on slide 19, the qualities you showed. So were those theoretical, or have those actually been tested in practice? And how do you convert the sort of coding side of this into actual practical sort of plant operation? And then the other question, thinking more broadly about, you started looking at a problem and see how do you apply sort of coding skills, and I think you said you learned Python as part of this, or did you know Python before? But what is your view about how do you, what skills do we bring into the business and sort of scale this more broadly than just sort of teaching a few people Python? And what's your views about how scalable this, applying technology to these problems could be?
Okay, thank you for that. So the first question was in terms of if this is theoretical or practical. So this is, I would suppose, both, since it's actually using the washability table on the side there from the geological data that was practically tested. So it went through the complete proximate analysis. And based on that washability tables and using this Whiten model by determining or one by one selecting the cut point that each model suggested, I then went ahead and calculated what is the theoretical quality of these. So just once again, the only reason why Pika2 is able to get this accurate because it's able to iterate through all of these options and find the perfect solution. And then just on your second question, so once again, I think I'm a bit biased, but I'm definitely a Python fanboy. So my programming journey started in high school when I did a Microsoft training course. And through that, I sort of got hooked on programming and just that's trying to find a solution. And then once you have your solution, it's just like probably one of the best feelings. And in terms of Python specifically, why I'm so fond of it, it's an open source language. So firstly, the community around it is all about trying to help each other and trying to broaden the exposure of it. And why another reason is even when we considered like license programs such as Power BI, there's actually a Python plugin. So if you're able to program in Python, you're able to apply that in a way or a large number of different areas. So be it Power BI or even ThingWorks, because if you consider Ashley, we are now going to implement it on, or we are going to be implementing Ashley on ThingWorks at GG. And that's like, I think Python is definitely the best in that sense, and you can use it on a lot of different platforms. Even though that platform is not specifically developed for Python, they enable you to have it as a plugin.
Thank you.
Well done, by the way.
Thank you.
I've got two questions for you. So the first question is, what are the end user skills requirements in terms of Python and the coding? And in your experience, when you did offer the course, how long was the take-on by the end user? And the second question that I have is, which other programs did you consider?
So just a quick question. So other programs, are you referring to other programming languages?
Yes.
So in the Microsoft course, I learned C#, but seeing that that's not as easily legible as Python, and knowing that in university we learn Python, I realized that my colleagues, their knowledge on Python is already on a bit of a high level when considered to something completely else. Okay. So that was also one of the key determining factors why I decided to rather use Python, because it's not like some of the other languages where you have a lot of extra characters before you can actually understand what's happening. Python was designed such that you can sort of read it and understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. And then just also, so the first question, in terms of the end users. So the aim of this is to, so the end users would be the operators in the plant. So I'd like to, once again, just reiterate that the aim of this is not to replace the operator. The aim of this is to ease the workload of the operators and allow them to focus on more important tasks. Mm-hmm. So in terms of that, the aim would then be to make their workload easier. So the responsibility would actually then lie with the process development department. And in terms of the other side, so the Python adoption, it was quite interesting and quite a fulfilling feeling when I walked into one of my colleagues' offices and see them pulling up graphs and using all the tools that I've shown them during the training course. And throughout, even after the Python training course, I did a quick survey on all the different aspects and how the learners felt the course was in terms of quality and the content and all of that. And it was by far a very positive feeling, because I think everyone can see the benefit in even simple things like doing basic data analysis and how fast you can get an answer compared to when you're using it in Excel, where you have to do a lot of, if you get a graph, then you have to redo everything before you get a new graph if you see that your time interval or something is not right. Whereas with Python, it's basically you change one parameter, click run, and you have your answer. So no, it's definitely quite encouraging to see the adoption of Python in my office area at least.
And how long was the take-on duration by the end user?
So with the engineers. Mm-hmm. So the training course was for a full 4 days. Yeah. And then afterwards, I also encouraged them, if they have any questions, to come and ask me. Mm-hmm. But already by the end of that course, there were some of the learners that could use what they've been learned. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, judges. Thank you so much, Bernard.
Thank you.
You may take your seat. I think with that note, this is why I call this a roast segment. You know, when PITs have to answer questions and pull their phones, check the slides, just to, refresh their presentations. But well done, Bernard, well answered. Let's have a look at the progress made by our digital scriber. Can you guys please comment on the social feed? Look how beautiful this is. And also, you might even throw in hints. What do you think he's describing here? Which presentations is he actually also showing? This is really beautiful, I must say. During these hard and difficult times, Exxaro has played a huge role in assisting our hard-hit communities. Did you know that Exxaro has donated 20 million rand to the Solidarity Fund, which is a fund formed by our President, Cyril Ramaphosa? This fund seeks to help in the country's health response system, humanitarian aid, and solidarity campaign, which are directly aimed towards fighting the pandemic. We, as an organization, still urge people to comply with the COVID-19 health regulations. Please ensure that you wear your mask, you sanitize, and keep social distance. Moving right along, the group will share a very powerful presentation on the impacts of climate change, how the mining industry can contribute in the fight against climate change. This is, however, not just a presentation, but a powerful message that speaks to our hearts as the people who are sharing Mother Earth. Let's take a look at the highlights of the presentation. I bring to you, Love Your Mother.
We are Love Your Mother.
Climate change. This has been said to be the crisis of our time. Our atmosphere is made up of various greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases, they trap the heat from the sun and they naturally warm our Earth's surface. This is what we call the greenhouse effect. However, over the years, the levels of CO2 in our atmosphere has been rising. This has been due to the burning of fossil fuels since the Industrial Revolution.
So, Love Your Mother introduces to you the big solution, the green scorecard. This will be a point-based system which a department will be able to gain points based on the initiatives that they are running. You will receive, as a department, a green status, be it beginner, expert, or genius, right? And this status you will receive based on the cumulative points that you would have accumulated as a department from the individuals actually participating.
We've taken into account the risks that are associated with climate change in that environmental accountability is becoming the new norm. We have shed some light on new and innovative technologies in direct carbon capture, and we have also touched on a sensitive issue or a key driver when coming to change in an organization, being the culture. Introducing the Green Excellence. Through the interaction of the three facets in our model basically aims to innovate and challenge the current designs and culture of the organization in an aim to reduce Exxaro's carbon footprint. With the collaboration between government and key stakeholders or key game changers in the climate change space, we aim to change Exxaro and make it a green Exxaro.
What a powerful presentation. As an individual, I have learned a lot from the presentation the group has done. And I can proudly say, I now know better how to love your mother. Well done, guys. Let's start with the first question from the audience. This is a question coming from Vonakalani Mutaka. Good work with the presentation. With Africa still highly an underdeveloped continent, how can individuals in Africa successfully contribute towards the fight of global warming whose solutions are considered expensive and not conventional to our ways of living?
Okay, I'll quickly take that one. So I think also in our presentation, we specifically addressed the difference between the developing countries and the developed countries, where we realized that we are still a developing country, and we are not in contrast to the developed countries who's used this, the fossil fuels in the past to grow their wealth up until the point where we are now. So we as a group feel that the most important thing that we as South Africa could do is to grow in such a way that it would be able for us to transition and to do that in a sustainable way. So even though we are dependent on coal at the moment, we need to make sure, and also considering our day-to-day life and the activities that we've done or that we're doing, how that impacts us, and also just having that mentality to realize that each of us has a part to play in this and a part to play in the solution.
Thank you, Bernard. Moving over to our next question from the audience. This comes from Moses Lekaka. Considering the weather changing and what Exxaro is implementing on green energy, what energy source would you say is best to implement looking at the demand for energy within the countries first before implementing it to the continent? Any takers?
So with us, I think with Exxaro already, we are already in a positive direction whereby we have acquired the synergy, and we actually acquired it 100% now. So that is one of the energy sources that we can actually, wind energy, that is the energy sources that it's much more environmentally friendly, and at the same time it's cheaper, and it can be available in all the other areas in South Africa. Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. That is all from the audience questions. Now moving over to one of my favorite slots. Judges, it is time to do your due diligence and roast the PITs.
I think it was roasted.
Wow. So I'll be going first this round. So the question that I have is focused on the initiative on the KPIs, focused on the culture aspect. And I'd like to get an example of how you guys see Exxaro can leverage on its existing capabilities in that aspect from a cultural perspective.
Okay, I think I'll attempt that. In terms of knowing what the existing initiatives are and what we're currently working with, I think we have a good start in terms of getting to be able to reach out to our employees and the people within our communities as Exxaro, so that they are able to live a bit more greener than we are. I know in mining there's initiatives such as the Panto system, where that is one of the initiatives that could actually be the very first things that we get to develop should we actually get to do the app or the web-based application, to actually be able to use that as one of the KPIs and one of the initiatives that are being run, which we can measure against in order for the people participating within the mining department and also the employees within the mining department, and how they will be able to track themselves against that as a department and as individuals as well. So yeah, I think we are off to a great start, and there are certain initiatives that we can work with, but there is a lot more that we can definitely take on when it comes to having more initiatives that are focused on living and mining more greener.
Thank you.
Yeah, could you please repeat the question again? I'd like to answer.
Oh, you'd also like to respond?
Yeah, please.
Okay, that's great. So looking at Exxaro's existing capabilities,
Yes.
and specifically your initiative from the culture aspect and entrenching that with the KPIs, as she's just further elaborated. How can Exxaro leverage on those existing capabilities?
Okay, right. I think we can take an example of how the connection is or how headquarters is, and put it across the board, across all our BUs. For instance, with this building being a 5-star, rated a 5-star building, we can take, let's say, put services into this example. We can say, okay, services, what can you do across the BUs to retrofit the buildings or retrofit the BUs buildings, admin buildings or whatever, retrofit what the connection has into the buildings at the different BUs. For instance, we can, I've read on the connection things like the water that we use in our bathrooms, in that a certain percentage of it is air. We can do that at the different BUs as well. So that can be a KPI for services. Another one could be, for instance, walking into your office, your lights are automated in that they sense the movement in your office. So you can take that same example. Some of the offices, for instance, at GG, they don't have that. So an employee would leave their light on, and that would obviously increase the energy consumption. So you can retrofit that in the services space into the different BUs, and that in itself would be a KPI for services.
Great example, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and well done. And I think it's great to sort of highlight and accentuate the climate challenges that we've gone through, and it's good to see some of your lessons learned at the end. I'm sure some of those weren't necessarily learnt on this project, but if they were, that's awesome to hear. I have one concern, I suppose, is coming out of the survey. It looks like only 50% of people in Exxaro had an awareness of our climate strategy. So do you have any ideas of how we can actually improve that awareness, and also how we can track it probably more actively?
Okay, I'll take that on, then you're welcome to add in if you want. So once again, the screen scorecard is really focusing on that as a whole as well. Because firstly, it's very similar to the Discovery Vitality point, where it's firstly making you aware of what you need to do to be healthy and to be fit. And in this case, it would be making you aware of the existing strategies and also what you as an individual can do to live a greener life. And then in terms of tracking that, that's then where the point or the reward-based system would be, where if you participate in these awareness campaigns or if you do some of the games and things that we envisage to be on there, then you score points. And in that way, you are actually gaining then this knowledge. And in that way, we are then improving the knowledge all around of climate change and of this whole problem that we are facing as a company.
Just to add on to that as well, I think we've also mentioned in our presentations that we plan to target days where we have, normally they call them OE days or training days within the plant, where we can actually go out and interact with the people that actually work there and give them 1 or 2 points when it comes to climate change and what its impacts are, but especially more related to the work that they will be doing at that time. And also there's also an initiative that's also running now where within our green areas at the pits, there will be actually monitors where they will be tracking their performance. And within that, I think we can jump onto that and actually get to put in a little did you know what's this? Yeah, did you know fact about climate change, that whenever they pass by, it's something they can take note of. And then, like we said, when they get to interact with the app or the web-based application, then they'll be able to kind of grasp from whatever that has been surrounding them to get a clear or better understanding of what climate change is about and how it's having an impact to us as Exxaro and the mining industry.
And also, I think to add to what they're saying, I think each and every one here can agree that we don't want more tasks to be added to our work. So how we're going to take it to our people is that to make sure that it's not more work to be done, but it's you becoming. So we are going to take it to people in such a way that people are going to become climate change conscious rather than going to work towards climate change. So that's what we are aiming at.
So maybe at a very practical level, following the work that you've done sort of in preparing and sort of analysing this project, have you adopted anything new? Or have there been any changes from a personal point of view on your side?
Yeah, so I
Yes.
think each one of us has our own personal story.
Yes.
But so definitely, I think for me personally, it's so luckily I wasn't a climate skeptic coming into this, but just being aware of like how little things can make such a big difference, and to me, just like having that mindset of knowing that whatever I'm doing, is it actually affecting the climate and is it affecting the environment? And not necessarily a specific thing, but more as a broader picture of realizing that I as an individual have an influence on the world and my influence is not that negligible. So please, you're welcome to add.
I think for me also it's very important to know that it's not only going to happen at work, but also the life that I'm going to lead when I'm going outside the company. So the kind of house I'm going to build, the kind of energy that I'm going to use in my house, and all of the things, all of the people that I'm going to come across, what language am I speaking to when I talk about climate change, that has influenced me a lot. Yeah, for me that's...
Fun fact for me is that I actually got to, I don't know how, I think it was within the researching and doing the work, came across how, like the efficiency of actually getting, like charging your phone, how, like what is the efficiency of actually getting to charge your phone. So got to learn you shouldn't charge your phone overnight. It's not efficient for the phone itself, not just for the electricity consumption. Charge your phone when it's between 20% and 80%. If it's 80%, it's sufficiently charged. You can live here, but never let it go say maybe below 10%, because then it takes a bit more consumption in terms of getting it back from where. So those type of things are actually things that actually got to come up and got to shape the way that we do things. I do things better in my life as opposed to actually also at work. And at work, I'm in the IM department, so paper is one of the things that we don't like to use. So I think actually getting to be more conscious about that, actually finding, is it necessary for me to actually really print this? I think it really goes a long way. So that's one of the things that I've learned as well.
Yeah, and if I could perhaps just finish this question off. So even though like that example it's really a great example, but realizing if we consider that amount of energy that you save compared to the energy efficiency of a power plant, it's absolutely negligible. But just being in that mindset, I believe enables us to go out and see bigger possibilities and opportunities out there. So definitely all about the mindset.
All right. No, thank you, guys. Great presentation. I think the way that you actually broke it down, even giving your relevant experiences, it takes the message home, because when people think of climate change, they think it's Exxaro's responsibility, it's Eskom's responsibility. But I think you guys are breaking it down to say each one of us doing our bit actually adds up. And like Bernard said, it's actually about that mindset that we actually create. So there's three questions from my side. The first question is the scope 2 of the climate change strategy talks about, I think it's electricity usage. Have you guys considered having some of current Exxaro BUs or portions of the BUs going off the grid and not using Eskom electricity and start using solar systems, any renewable system?
Okay, I think, yeah, it was something that we just spoke about, but since we come from Grootegeluk, we considered, or we've spoken about solar panels, right? Being used at Grootegeluk. Yeah. So, yeah, we know that Grootegeluk is situated along the Tropic of Capricorn, of which is basically a very hot area. Everyone knows that. So you can see that across Namibia, Botswana, all the way up until Australia. So that area there is best suited for solar energy. So I think Grootegeluk in this case is the best example for that.
And I think it'll be a good initiative to actually start small, have some of the small sections go off the grid and then scale up. Okay, the second question, you guys mentioned the direct carbon capturing. So which part of our Exxaro mining processes actually would generate enough carbon for us to actually capture and turn into reusable energy. I know Sibanye Gold currently converts their methane, which they currently have abundantly underground, and they use that to actually fuel their buses. So where in our process can we actually apply that technology?
Okay, so I'll once again take that one. So I think, once again, if we consider Grote Geluk since we're coming from there, we're actually at the best place there since we are directly situated next to 2 power stations, which is creating this carbon dioxide. And having the plant there would then improve the overall efficiency of that. So at the moment, they have proven and they have shown that you can extract the carbon atoms from that and create the carbon chains to be used as fuel. It is at the moment still a bit expensive, but as shown in the presentation as well, considering a couple of years back, the technology per kilogram of CO2 captured was about $800 to $1,000, when now it's around $230. And the technology is still not mature. So definitely with that price coming down, there's an opportunity there to start capturing that, and as a worst case scenario, taking that and burying it underground, since we are then also removing the carbon.
Okay. No, I like the fact that we're not just thinking about influencing Exxaro, also our stakeholder. Okay, and then the last question from my side, the scorecard. I know that the mining industry relies a lot on compliance, and our biggest stakeholder when it comes to compliance still swears by the papers. I work at Belfast. We are a digital and connected mine, but when we have the DMR on site, you want to show them procedures on the system, they're like, no, please go and print for me. So I just want to know, for departments such as sustainability and HR, how will that impact them with regards to the balanced scorecard? Because it will have a negative impact because they'll be constantly printing papers, but it's a compliance issue.
Well, that's actually something that, it came up. And then the way we look at it is that, yes, we are going to have that as a KPI, but having the targets are going to be different within the different departments. So, for instance, if in the mining department it's more legally binding to actually have that, then their target of printing paper will basically be based on, historically, this is what they have been printing based on the requirements from the DMRE and so forth. And then from that, build a moving target, for instance, should it happen that we actually, hopefully the DMRE at some point will jump on the digital wagon with us, so that we can actually have a moving target of how we get to measure the mining departments against that specific KPI. So it will definitely not be the same all around the different departments. We'll definitely take into account those type of factors that come in that we cannot just forget about.
Are you guys perhaps considering any initiatives that we can actually do to proactively get our DMR along with us on this journey?
So if I can quickly, okay. So I think firstly lead by example, and once again Exxaro or Grote Geluk as an example, we are not yet that don't print papers. So I think by doing that and showing that it can actually work, I'd say that would be the first idea to heading in the right direction.
Thank you guys.
And I think also having worked now during the pandemic in HR, I realized that documents can actually walk through the computer without ever being printed out. So we have like resources. So, and this will reduce the margins in which we're printing, because we would be printing only for the DMR people when they come around. But we can actually drive our papers within, our documents within our systems, and that's it.
Thank you, guys.
Tim, thank you for choosing the topic. The topic is consistent and current, consistent with the Exxaro strategy. And thanks for sharing your knowledge with us in this regard. We really appreciate it. The question I'm going to ask to you, Tim, in fact, before that, for us who had the privilege of looking at the entire presentation, you had a very moving video at the beginning, which I think the COVID has given you the raw deal in a sense, because not everybody might have seen that presentation. And the message was extremely powerful about climate change. Then if I come to the question, my question is around for you guys to draw the parallels between what Exxaro is doing and its own peers in the country in the space of climate change. Can you tell us what Exxaro is doing relevant or in relation to its own peers out there in the topic that you have chosen?
I think what Exxaro, they've set up, so they've been on a journey from 2010, and then they've also been doing a lot of research around the impact of climate change, especially as a coal mining company. There's been frameworks in place, and they've also journeyed on the call for from the country's climate adaptation strategy and also the Paris Agreement. So they have actually become a leader in ensuring that new technologies are implemented within our operations. And then they've also realized that we are here and we are faced with challenges. It's impacting on our operations more than maybe other mining industries. So what they've done is to ensure that although we understand the impact that we're having, we are not going to sit down and not do anything, but we are going to act. And what they've done is that we are also transitioning into new businesses, whereby we are actually looking into new energy transmissions, and then which is also we can refer to the synergy patches and also the new minerals. So I know there's a lot of projects within businesses whereby people have been placed in projects where they look into the minerals that we can actually purchase, and then there's also a project on other energy transitions that we can actually implement in the business. So those are the things that Exxaro has done. And looking into other companies as well, it is nothing far different from what they have done. So we are doing similar things, but we have actually put ourselves a step forward in that we are not only focusing on the fact that we are coal mining companies, but we are actually tapping in all the different markets. We are also including the impact on our communities. We are ensuring that social issues also they are regarded, and also education, ensuring that people are trained to understand what climate change is. So we've done that in all the communities that we're actually providing. Also in the mines that we've done, the mines that we are actually closing out. So we are not saying that because we are no longer mining in those companies, we understand that we still have a responsibility to make sure that all those mines that have been closed down, they are rehabilitated in a manner in which we can have a positive impact on climate change. So those are the things that we've done as a company. Yeah.
Thank you. Just the last one. You guys have been here for quite some time. Perhaps the MC's point about grilling is really true. So the last one from my side is about the climate change in general. It is a global threat going forward, and which will impact the lives of the future generations. Mm-hmm. In your own view, do you think that the current generation, which is actually going to go to its own sunset at some point, do you think we are winning the fight against this global threat that is coming that may impact negatively to our own grandchildren going forward? What can you share with us?
I think social media has had a huge impact, and lucky enough is that the young generation, we are always on social media. So, and there's always talks about climate change. I mean, I think I cannot scroll through Twitter without seeing another summit or something with regard to climate change. And what it does is that the companies that you actually deal with, like your Samsung, they also support you using a Samsung phone. Immediately when you see that company that is there, you immediately get influenced. And also the company that you want to work for. So Exxaro is there, they talk about climate change, and you want to work for Exxaro in the future. So it becomes very critical to ensure that you align your career path with what Exxaro is doing, and that will be climate change, being able to understand what climate change means. So those are the things that actually influence young generations. I think also we have seen in the news that we have young people as small as in grade 7 who actually take to the street to actually stand against what businesses are actually doing to impact climate change. So that becomes a responsibility from as young as an early age. I mean, I have a daughter, she's 7, and during the time when I was doing the presentations,
I think she grasped the things because I would stand in front of her so that she can judge my presentation, and I will talk about climate change. I can confirm that my daughter can say the word climate change. So yeah, I think doing it from that state on, I think we are in the right path here.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, judges. I must say, sitting next to the stage as an MC, it feels like this is much more like Idols SA. I'm not sure if you guys can concur with that. Having our Randalls this side and our PITs being roasted without the singing. But well done, guys. I'll just like to mention a few things before you guys go off stage. Firstly, please ensure that whenever you answer, your mic should be just close to your mouth so that the audience can hear you and also our viewers at home can be able to hear you. But you may take your seats. Well done.
Thank you.
Just to share a few success story with regards to our current event. We are actually being streamed by over 200 people. This is quite a success because it shows that we are moving and we are ready to going towards the new way of work. I know the judges need to digest all the answers given by the PITs, and there is nothing more that we can do in this current moment than to take a short 5-minute break. And to our viewers, this is the time for you to do a leg stretch, get a glass of water, or even better, engage with us on the social feed. Post pictures, comment, and let's have fun. I will now like to ask Johnny, our illustrator, to join us on stage. Johnny, may you please come on stage. Is this the spot? I have a few questions for you, Johnny.
Okay.
The first one, tell us about the progress and how this digital scrubbing or art works.
Yeah, so the modern age provides modern technology, and I'm here to summarize all these really amazing, comprehensive presentations into one beautiful, synergized image for you guys. That's pretty much what I'm here to do, and I'm doing it on my iPad.
Wow. And where do you find the inspiration to do all this?
Yeah, inspiration is a weird thing to speak about within my field because it really is a passion thing for me. So I don't really need to look for inspiration in the sense that I feel like sleeping is giving up sort of thing. Inspiration is more, I can find it's a passion for me, so it's easy to find inspiration.
Wow. Then over to my next question. Since you're saying that, it's passion, how long have you had this passion for?
So I went to an art high school. So I think I've been passionate about this since my early years, and I've kind of been professional at it since post-university for like 2 years now.
Wow. And what is the most difficult thing that you have had to draw or illustrate?
So within the art field, it's very diverse and there's many different factions to it. So I do a lot of murals as well. So I've painted a 40 square meter mural. That was quite challenging.
Wow. And where can we find you? Are you on Insta, Twitter? What's your handle?
Yeah, so
Facebook?
as you said, we're all on social media. So I'm on social media as well. Johnny Allison, if you want to go check it out on Beyond's Instagram, Facebook, all that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Johnny.
Yes, I made a quick illustration of you here, just for the Exxaro presentation, which I thought would be cool to show everybody.
Wow.
Awesome.
And do you have maybe any other work that you would like to show us?
I do have some other pieces. I mostly specialize in line work illustration, so I think summarizing presentations like this is kind of exactly what I do. So more like pattern work.
Wow.
And yeah, like art in general has a correlation between visual forms of communication. So that's really what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to communicate really complex ideas really beautifully and succinctly, you know? So, yeah. Thanks, man.
And then I would like to just ask you one last question. So, you know, like normally with normal artwork, you have galleries. But in your case, to showcase your work, is there a digital art gallery that guys can maybe look at, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, I guess with the modern world, everything's kind of moved to the digital sphere. So the actual thinking that one needs a physical brick and mortar place to showcase your work is kind of like an older concept. So a lot of the artists are moving to an online space. A lot of the galleries are actually moving to an online space. My portfolio in general is mostly online. Yeah, I think that's just how the modern generation seems to perceive each other's work, especially within the art field.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Johnny.
thanks.
I would like to see your final work.
Okay, I will.
Let's move over to our Did You Know segment. Did you know that Exxaro released a further 3.45 million rands through the Exxaro Chairman's Fund and the Exxaro Foundation to assist the Mpumalanga and Limpopo provinces with community needs such as improving water and sanitation infrastructures, as well as supplying them with food parcels, PPE, and other consumables. This is one of the many other initiatives that Exxaro has been taking part in the fight against the pandemic. Moving right along to our second individual PIT on stage is Matthews Motsui, presenting on the materials safety data sheets. He created a system that will track, trace, and document MSDS, but also ensuring an easier way to update the MSDS. This system of doing things has huge benefits in terms of ensuring that the mine's safety standards are met and we comply with the DMR's mine safety and health regulations. Let's have a look at the highlight of Matthew's presentation. I bring to you the materials safety data sheets.
Dear colleagues, we live now in the connection economy where building meaningful relationships or connections are now important more than ever before. Now it only makes sense that we take the same idea and connect our materials. The Mine Health and Safety Act clearly indicates that anyone that manufactures, handles, transport, store, and even dispose the hazardous materials, they must at all times produce an MSDS that is paired with the relevant document, or rather the material that they are using on the mine. So currently within our supply chain function, we have got over 9,000 documents that we need to update at all times to make sure that we protect our people on the mine as we go. Colleagues, obviously out of these problems, we have to come up with a solution. Automate MSDS delivery. When they handle these materials, they will actually scan the material when they receive it. When they scan it, it will give them the information that is required out of that material. It will give them also the functionality to be able to print out the MSDS. Now we're not going to be looking for the MSDS files from the foreman's office. Some of them, they actually expire and we are not aware. And now the great thing about this solution also is our master data team within supply chain will be able to update these MSDS documents all the times as we go. They will make sure that these MSDS documents are well updated so that our guys in the warehouse, when they interact with the system, they get the latest updated MSDS documents at all times. Our end users, they will have access to the MSDS documents on SharePoint. They will just use the material number or receive a link that directs them to the specific hazardous material MSDS so that they can protect themselves also. The warehouse heads or managers will be able to see the reports. When they pull these reports will tell them so and so handled this hazardous material and they actually had an MSDS, or they have acknowledged that they understand the dangers associated with the material they're handling. So ultimately, colleagues, everybody will have MSDS document as they handle the hazardous materials.
Welcome to the stage, Matthews. What a very insightful and powerful presentation.
Thank you.
Moving over to our questions from the audience. Seems like you have one question from Danny. He's asking, how will you ensure that end users read and use MSDS? Example, the people ultimately using the thinners and etc.
Thank you kindly for the questions. How do we make sure that the end users use the MSDS documents or are aware of the dangers? So colleagues, what we can do as supply chain, or rather as Exxaro, or rather as the managers for various sections, is to ensure that we give these guys knowledge and an understanding that these MSDS documents are really important for your safety. Remember now that if I issue from supply chain a thinner to a section, I issue it with an MSDS. My role is to say, please kindly be aware of the dangers associated with this. Similarly, when you go to a doctor, they give you medication, they tell you, take these 3 times a day. Make sure that you don't take 4 of these tablets, because if you do so, you're going to endanger yourself. So the only thing that we can do is to give the knowledge and empower the people. So that's what this solution is all about.
Wow. Thanks. Thank you so much, Matthews. And you used a very nice illustration there. Guys, please take your prescriptions very well. That is all from the audience questions. Now it's time to move over to one of my favorite segments. It's time for the judges to roast the PIT. Judges, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Matthews, for this great presentation as well. It's very interesting and encouraging to see a safety-oriented presentation coming from supply chain. It shows that we're progressing in the right direction as the organization. The question I'm going to ask you is whether in your research, when you were undertaking your study of this project, whether you did find out or even approach your seniors in the department in that if this project becomes successful as you have presented, would you find financial support in the supply chain department so that all what you have said here is actually transformed into a practical project that is executed inside the organization, given the level of importance in as far as saving lives and also improving the safety record of the organization? Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Mongezi, for the question. So I'm glad you asked that question. So this solution is already under development. So I have presented it to the supply chain forum, our group manager, including his supply chain forum members. They like the solution. They have approved it. So we also gotten approved for funds. We've started interacting with the guys that are supposed to develop this system, bringing them together. We've been doing it so far. So it's under development. We've gotten through ticks that are taking us through implementation stage. So right now, it's just a matter of us making sure that it happens. So the supply chain board is saying, go for it, and we want to see this becoming a success.
If, having said that, Matthews, and I'm glad that you're receiving support inside the organization, and the rolling out of it from perhaps from head office to the business units, is that something that you will also consider?
100%. So currently I'm working with all the representatives from the supply chain functions at different BUs. Belfast, Liupan, Mata, Grootegeluk. We are making sure that we bring this together and we work on the solution and implement simultaneously across the business units. So everybody across the business units is on board, and we're implementing this uniform solution for all of us.
Okay, the last one, can I just be naughty and ask you that in 12 months, would I be in a position to come to you and ask you about the progress in terms of implementation?
With pleasure, Mongezi. I think in the next 12 months, it will be well completed, and we will just be monitoring the solution to ensure that we can even implement for other stuff, expanding from where we are in terms of safety. So it will be well implemented.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matthews. Great presentation. I think just to echo on what Tatu Veti has said, it actually is encouraging when you see other departments that are not necessarily on the coal face doing initiatives that improve the safety on the floor. So the question that I had, actually Danny asked it, because for me the focus of the initiative seems to be around the issuing and the receiving of the hazardous substances. So you did answer it with regards to the end user, but I would like to request that as we are rolling out the solution, can you also find digital ways to also enable the end user to actually access the information? I know at Belfast we're actually busy with the digital risk assessment, mini HIRA, where the guys before they work, they do it digitally. So maybe you can link this to say if they tick that they're using any hazardous chemicals, it immediately goes and gives them access to the MSDS. But otherwise, it's a great initiative. So the one question was already asked. So the second question, you spoke about the updating of the MSDS, which I feel is the important part, because you don't want to have documents that have changed and nobody has actually initiated. So who will trigger, or what will trigger that process to actually update? Is it going to be the manufacturer that's going to give us the updated? And you also alluded to the PITs doing that. So I just want to know what will trigger that process to say there's been an update in the industry, let's update our data.
Thank you kindly, Tamara. I think just to start with the comment, so ensuring that the end users have an uninterrupted access to the MSDS, we've brought in SharePoint into the solution. So as MVP 1, minimum viable product number 1, we're just going to make sure that the MSDS documents are there available. But as part of the development in the future, we're going to make sure that when we get a request from the end users to say they need a hazardous material from the warehouse, so we're going to send them a link. That link will transfer them to a stored version of the MSDS that is relevant to that material that they require. And then from there, we can even put in the management of plan to ensure that they read this MSDS document that is paired with this hazardous material.
Okay, and then I saw that on your presentation you only cited GG. Have we had similar incidents in other BUs?
I believe there could be incidents in other BUs, but just to bring it a bit home, I just looked into GG alone, just to give a picture that these things happen. But I'm sure the guys from other business units can attest that incidents like this do happen. So therefore, we need to be aware of this.
Thank you, Matthews.
Thanks, Matthews. Great presentation and great work, and it's nice to see that this is, in good progress. And I think you've got a bit of a challenge here from Mongezi in the next 12 months to get it through. So, good luck with that. I also had, and thinking about some of the previous presentations today, and the theme around climate awareness and the paper associated with this, I think the digital challenge is a key one. And also, at issuing, you get the piece of paper or the MSDS, but what happens, you mentioned squirrel stores in your presentation, does it go and sit with it in a squirrel store, those things? So that's the one thing and I think you have addressed it, but if there's any further insights on how can we create a digital format of this? The other thing that I just wondered, because you had a number of alternatives that you tested, did you look at the option of integrating with some of the suppliers, or actually not housing the MSDS information locally, but I assume there would be some bureau or something where you can actually access these things directly at almost source. Were those options looked at?
100%. So your question actually links to what Tamara asked in the second time, Alex. Thank you kindly. So what we do is, in supply chain, we have got a system or a team that is called Master Data. So they work with a company called Piloc. So what we do is, whenever an end user wants to place a request for a new item that has never been codified, so they would say, okay, I want a paint of this color and so forth. So they give you all the technical attributes to that paint. So our codification function in supply chain would make sure that they identify, say, okay, this is a hazardous material, therefore it needs an MSDS. So our codification team then, they go and source the relevant MSDS document for that material. And in that, they will be updating items like when is it expiring, is it still valid? So they make sure that then in our master data function, we have got MSDS documents for relevant materials that are up to date and will not be causing any dangers within the operations.
I think maybe to build on my question, and might be your MVP 4 or 5, is are there ways to actually integrate directly with whoever's supplying that so that we don't have to be managing that information again? So that's just, I assume with the technology and the digital options we've got now, you could actually go direct to the supplier of the paint and access their MSDS without us duplicating it on our side.
100%. So we can actually do that, but if you check also in terms of the IT and innovation standards, so sometimes they don't want us or our systems to be constantly interacting with other systems across the business for security purposes. So we want to have one central system that we know when we want the MSDS document, this is where we're going to get it, and in a most effective way. So I like your idea. We can actually do that, provided that we put in proper security gates to ensure that we don't endanger the business when we interact with external service providers.
Thank you.
A question from me is, I've got 2 questions. So the first one is, which other solutions did you consider before settling on this specific solution? And the second question is, Tamara's already spoken about it on the cleanup of the 9,000 plus that we already have but are not on the system as yet. So how do you foresee the duration? How long is it going to take you to get that up and running?
Okay, to start with the second question, Kate, thank you. So the 9,000 documents that we have there, most of the items do have the MSDS document. Our biggest role is to ensure that these documents are still within valid timeframes to make sure that we don't use an updated or outdated MSDS document. So what we do is now with codification, their job is to make sure that any material that has got an MSDS or requires an MSDS on day-to-day basis, they are going to update it. The system now that we have built is going to be giving them feedback to say, 5 items for today are expiring. Please make sure that you update so that we don't run around in a reactive manner rather than being proactive. Okay, so the first question, Kate, is about, would you please be kind and repeat that again?
So which other solutions did you consider before settling on the specific one?
All right, thank you. Yes, we had 3 solutions, or rather, let me just bring it home a bit. We had 2 solutions within Exxaro. We could make sure that we pressurize our suppliers to say, whenever you deliver a hazardous material on the mine, please bring in the hazardous document, MSDS document. But that has not been proven to work. For one reason, we've got some of the suppliers that are still startups, the small suppliers, where, for example, you're operating at Grotegelek, they will bring it to your warehouse function. Sometimes it's not updated. And you don't want to be tapping into your politics to say, no, we're not going to do business with you. So rather, as a big organization, we can say, guys, we're going to work with you, but when we request this MSDS proactively, give it to us so we update it. We don't want to be reactive to say, at that time when the end user says, we need explosives, and you say, there is no MSDS document. So you want to make sure that you have a proactive action. So that is the downside of the other solutions that we have identified. So now this is one of the sophisticated solutions that Mungezi is going to see in the next 12 months.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, judges. Thanks, Metis. Well answered. You may take your seat. Now it is time to move over to our Did You Know segment. Did you know that Exxaro has partnered with the Small Business Institute to promote the development of small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, in South Africa? The partnership will focus on the functional and economic viability of mining towns beyond the life of mine. This is all aimed at creating an environment in which it is possible to achieve the National Development Plan's expectation of SMEs as the country's foremost job creators. This is exciting, and it proves that we, as an organization, are powering possibilities. Our second PIT group presentation is by Africanization, presenting on the Exxaro of the future. The group was tasked with the objective to go out in the world and find suitable businesses that Exxaro can in the future venture into. Whilst the PITs are walking to the stage, let's play the highlights of the presentation. I bring to you Africanization.
Allow me to introduce you to my team. Myself, Francois, we have Lee, we have Tivali, and we have our leader, Trinity. They say to know where you're going, you need to know where you are coming from. We currently have 7 operations in South Africa, and 1 operation in Australia is currently being developed as a joint venture. Exxaro is currently the largest thermal coal producer to Eskom.
We want to diversify the Exxaro coal portfolio into minerals that will allow for rapid growth, that will ensure short and long-term profitability, that will also ensure sustainability. Furthermore, we want to diversify into minerals that have current existing demand and also are of future relevance. Future relevance in terms of globalization and the move to clean energy. Now, the minerals that we selected were from this quadrant, that is your quadrant 4. That is minerals that have a wide range of applications. Nickel, copper, and manganese were chosen as the right minerals to diversify into. These 3 minerals proved to be minerals that showed to be resilient, sustainable commodities. They have current existing demand as well as are of future relevance. Future relevant in terms of their application, take for nickel and manganese in use of steel, and also copper, its application in electrical infrastructure.
We as Africanization intend to transform Exxaro's coal portfolio in a rapid, scalable, and sizable fashion. So this required us to do an identification of possible copper, nickel, and manganese investment opportunities within Africa. So to answer your question, buddy, we used a scoring matrix. It is important to note that Mamatwan, Ambatove, and Mobani were chosen as the most attractive investments due to their good asset quality and their ability to allow easy access into the nickel, copper, and manganese markets. These investments will also offer financial robustness through their positions on the cost curve.
Well done, guys. This was a very insightful and interesting presentation. Who better else is more suited to be asked about Exxaro's future than the future itself, our very own PITs. Now it is time to move over to our audience questions. The first question comes from Ling Ling. She wants to know, tell us what you have learned about working in a team.
Okay, I'll take this one since I was not featured in the highlights. Well, working with a diverse team, it was very difficult in considering COVID and adapting to the new normal. Having to work via Microsoft Teams, having network issues where we stay, the network was really bad. And the meetings sometimes wouldn't be progressive as we want them to be. And also another thing that we learned were finances when it comes to this project. I really learned a lot when it comes to finances. And even when it comes to the team, we learned how to respect each other's opinion and views. My voice. Each other's opinion and views, and also consider each other's feelings.
Just to add to what Trinity said, like he said, we are a very diverse group. So you have 4 different opinions at all times. So I think, like he said, we learned a lot about respecting each other's opinions. And I mean, if one disagrees with what the other one is saying, then what solution do you have? What alternative solution can you offer to what we just discussed? So I think from my side, like you said, it was just a matter of respecting everyone else's opinions, regardless of whether you think you're right. Yeah.
Okay. Any more takers? Cool. Moving over to our second question. This is by Rahedi. The question is, did you consider lithium? Because it's also one of the commodities that's in demand today as we speak.
Okay, let me take this one also. Yeah, we did consider lithium, but the problem is there's this lithium triangle between Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. They hold about 70% of lithium resources. So the rest of the world only has 30%, and we wanted to diversify Exxaro within the continent of Africa. So it was quite difficult for us to diversify to lithium. So we did consider lithium.
All right.
Yeah, also just to add on that, with lithium, we used a selection matrix. And in the matrix, it showed that even though lithium is in high demand, it has only a few or limited applications.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. That is all from our audience questions. It is now time to go to my favorite segment. Judges, please roast the PITs. Over to you, judges.
So the first question from myself, I've got two questions. The first question is actually what Trinity's already mentioned, that you have restricted the scope to only diversifying within Africa, and I'd just like more clarity on why that is. In the more detailed presentation, the 5 competitors that you've sort of ranked against, only Glencore of the 5 is actually the one organization that diversified within Africa as well. The other 4 didn't. So I'd just like to understand what was the thinking behind that. And then the second question is on the opportunity selection. So you had 7 items that you ranked against, the Ambotivi and Mamatwan, and I'm forgetting what the last one is. Ownership and control as well as country risk. How much did that influence the last 3 selected options?
Okay, let me take the first one. What was the question?
Trinity, I'll answer the first one. The choosing of the African continent was not a choice. It was
the
a
topic.
definition for us. So we were forced. The topic was Exxaro diversified mining company in Africa.
Okay.
So we were limited in terms of location, and I think the selection of the 5, let's call it, companies that we looked towards for inspiration and guidance and case studies was the biggest. We wanted to learn from the biggest, and although all of them not specifically so much diversified into Africa, it's the method to their madness that we were after, is seeing, yet not Africa specifically, although they had a lot of other countries, what can we learn from all of their different areas that they were in, because they still faced very much same challenges, political challenges, risk, financials, taxations, and all of those things. So we tried to get as broad as possible perspective and not only limit ourselves to what has already been done in Africa, because it has not always worked. So we wanted to see what can be done better going forward.
So before you move on to the second question, if I can add on to that. So what, in terms of Glencore, what is Glencore doing, the top 3 things that you guys think we can really leverage from or learn from?
Glencore, can you put that slide up? What is the slide now? Can you put the slide 10? Slide 10 years. They can't.
Okay.
So, well, one thing, Glencore first, they're diversified by customer and commodity. That's one thing that they are diversified by. Other companies, they mostly diversified by commodity only. So that's one thing that Glencore leverages on. And also, Glencore must also remember that it started off as a trader before it became a sort of a miner. Yes.
And if I can add to that, also what we picked up specifically from Glencore was that they are really positioning themselves continuously to become stronger by not, let's use the word carefully, being greedy, and specifically in ownership and such. They are very open to partnering. Yes, to their benefit always, but they are not afraid of going to a partnership option to venture into a new country, a new commodity or mineral or whatever. So the way in which they partner is, I think, one of the biggest things that we took away was to jump ship every now and then. You have to find somebody that's already floating in the lane that you want to jump to.
Okay. I think I'll need to repeat the second question. On the opportunity selection, I'd like to understand how the ownership and control and country risk influenced the last three options that you ended up with.
Well, like we've mentioned in the presentation, when we did our selection criteria, there were a few things that we looked at before we came to ownership and control.
Yeah.
So at first we had about 14, I think, investment opportunities for each mineral. And then we evaluated those according to your life of mine, position on the cost curve. And then we ultimately, after ranking them, we came to 3 investment opportunities in each commodity. So that's then where we used where we evaluated our country risk and ownership and control. So with the country risk, for instance, we used the pestle analysis to sort of gain an understanding of what is happening in these countries. So that's how we came to actually coming up with one ultimate investment opportunity in each commodity. And in terms of ownership and control, we looked at how many partners are in that certain venture. Are they selling? I mean, because if they are selling, then it's easier for us to approach them and then say, we want to acquire a stake in your company, as opposed to going into a company where your people are less likely to sell. Yeah, so the ownership and country risk were looked at as the ultimate deciders in the end.
And if I can add on to that, we know that in an ideal world, we would have liked to step in and buy an entire manganese mine or an entire copper mine. But we have to work within a budget, and we have to work in what, like our CEO said, while maintaining our core business, starting to build, let's say, businesses alongside ourselves. So we can't just go in and buy everything that we want. So we had to look at specifically to ownership, where the ideal would be to own everything yourself, 100%. You make the profit, you call the shots. But we had to go and consider going into partnerships or going into not fully controlling an entity which we were purchasing. So that also played a role for us in selection, was ownership and not only having full control necessarily.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for a good presentation. I think it's a very topical issue at the moment. So yeah, I've actually got tons of questions, but I'll try and keep it down to just a few, and maybe we can chat a little bit afterwards. Just linking to the ownership, and all of your options sort of had fairly small stakes. So what are some of the risks you see, having a minority stake with a partner in some of these options?
The first, and I think the biggest risk that you face with being a small stakeholder is control. You can't call shots, if I can use the word loosely. Your influence is very limited. And you're not so much directly involved in the control of the investment or the asset, which limits you. You are basically, to a certain degree, tied down. I think that's the biggest risk, and that's why it's important to, when you choose that option, to choose partners which you can trust and which have a proven track record. So the biggest risk, I think, remains control. If you're a small stakeholder, you are limited in control. You really don't have much of a say in the overall picture.
And in that case, then why would you be going for that type of option apart from the financial ones that you've mentioned? So the benefit side maybe as well.
I think the financial one remains the main driver. And apart from that, it's a risky option, but if it's well selected, it can be to your benefit. You are choosing an option which allows you to work with somebody that's already experienced in that area. They're experienced in that asset, they're experienced in that market. So it's like choosing a good mentor. It can be either very bad for you, or if you choose well, it can be to your benefit and it can propel you forward. So the risk and the benefit is there to the option.
Yes, also just to add on that, it was mostly positioning ourselves in terms of as the world moves towards these commodities, then you will be able, or in a later stage, you will be positioned or have that little bit of experience that you would have gained from the less ownership that you have. Then in the later stage, then you can maybe venture out on your own.
Thanks. And I suppose that sort of first step, as you said, your topic was around diversification. Did you look at diversification beyond mining, like in other areas of the value chain within those commodities, or was it predominantly sitting in the mining side?
Some of the assets that we considered provided us the opportunity to fit ourselves into different areas of the value chain, such as some of the, I think, if I recall correctly, Ambitovi had a processing plant and a refinery. So it allows us to get into a opportunity which would allow you to be on either the end of the supply or the value chain, or in the middle or in the beginning. So these are also opportunities, and that adds on to the first question that drove us to look more towards these opportunities, is also the value chain access that we will gain from these opportunities. We can partner, and we can always stick to the processing side. We can partner to the mining side. So it will allow us an investment that gives us chance.
Then my last question is maybe something as we can also take offline, but some of the valuation calculations seemed, I mean, I think it was 12 million for one of the assets. So I think we just need to double check some of the numbers in the valuations there, because if those are the numbers, we should jump on them quickly.
Yeah. I
But
think
thank
we'll
you.
take it offline. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. Again, great presentation. I think Kate asked some of the questions that I wanted to ask. So I'll just ask maybe one or two questions. Driving to Pretoria this way, this morning on my way from Wheatbank, I drive past Highveld still. And we know that at some point it was actually closed down and they've reopened, but at less capacity. So I just want to know, did you guys consider that while you were selecting the minerals that we can actually diversify into? Because there's been a downturn in the construction industry, especially in South Africa. And then that's going to be exaggerated by the COVID impact. So did you guys factor that in any of your thought process?
Yes, I would say we did factor it. So before selecting the minerals, we actually looked at the overall global trends that we currently have. And we saw that amongst those trends, we have urbanization, globalization, and also the move to clean energy. So even though we might have COVID this year, the projection shows that globalization still is going to go forward, especially in your countries like China or India like that. So it still speaks to, even though there is not the demand for the minerals this year, there might, or there is a projected demand in the following years.
And if I can add on to that, it was also in the highlight video, the specific word that we used was sustainable, resilient commodities. And that being that in the worst case scenario, if we were to go back even 50 years in terms of technology and whatever, these minerals that we selected are still so critical to society. So even if the pandemic continues for another year and a half, this minerals allows us to, or has demands that are sustainable. There's still infrastructure being constructed. There is still new transformers that need to be brought into substations. So these are minerals that are not only dependent on the possible future that we are hoping for, which is greener and more driven to carbon-free and carbon-safer world. These minerals can survive in the worst of times. These are the minerals that, regardless of circumstances, they are needed and they are wanted in large quantities worldwide, like Mbali said.
Okay. Then the last question from my side. On our drive to empowering Africa and beyond, I just want to know that, did you guys take any learnings from our Mayoko project? And what impact did that have on your decision making?
I think there were a lot of learnings that we took from the Mayoko project, but in terms of, I think it has to do with risk. How do we mitigate risk when going into a foreign country? So we think that a lot of these projects fail because you don't have long-term written agreements, or there isn't a lot of work done with regards to your compliance or your taxes or import and export taxes. So what we think would help us going further, if we were to actually consider doing this project and taking it further, would be to have those written agreements when going into these countries. Because some of these projects fail because you only find out later that your import to export tax is actually higher than whatever equipment you want to bring into that country. So then there's a lot of things that can go wrong at any given time.
I think if I can add on to that, I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned from the Morocco project and from speaking to people that were involved, it is obviously limited information that you get. People don't always want to speak too much about it. But it's like Lee said, it comes down to that, let's call this the second round that we are going to want to attempt, is we need to go and ask hard questions and look for what they call always the fine print. We need to go and look at that fine print. We need to go and look at why things have failed in the past, the typical project management thing of lessons learned. So I think we should not be afraid of trying again and definitely succeeding, but it's again of going and learning and asking the real questions and the hard questions. And if needed, get in the expertise that you need. If you don't have it, get it in to figure out what that fine print is of going into whatever country or investment you should choose.
Okay, once again, guys, a topical subject consistent with the strategy of Exxaro as well. Congratulations for the topic. The question I'm going to ask, in fact, some of the questions have been asked, especially relating to valuations as well. I had it written down, I'm not going to go there anymore. Then the question I'm going to ask relates to us or Exxaro getting fit. How do we go to a gym, for instance, to get ourselves fit in order to be nimble in the execution of our own strategy? What are those key considerations that will have to be fit at in order to make the strategy, the mineral strategy, a successful one going forward, given the history and the future going forward? Thanks.
I think one thing that we noted when we were doing the project is that we have very little capabilities in terms of mining these minerals. I mean, if you look at your nickel. So one thing that we would need to do in order to sort of establish ourselves in this market would be going into a merger or an acquisition with a company that is well experienced in doing this. So like they said, we want to sort of get our foot in, establish ourselves. We are not only buying into this market or these companies, but we're also buying experience from them. So once we have that experience, then we can go off on our own and establish our own nickel or manganese or copper mines.
And I think building onto that specifically to your question says, we need to, whatever investments we are looking at, we need to really study those investments. And I want to say spend more time on the study part, the pre-feasibilities, your feasibilities, your bankable studies. We need to really even delay ourselves to a certain sense and really like go and look for the fine print again. And then like Lee said, is choosing correctly. Back to the question or the answer earlier, is choosing the right partners and identifying what core capabilities we are available in Exxaro and what we don't have. Being honest with ourselves, and that will set us up to whatever we choose to correctly align ourselves and go to the gym and get fit on mining nickel, get fit on mining copper.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges, and thanks also to our PITs. You guys may take your seat. Let's take a look at how our digital illustration is coming along. Come on, guys, please comment on the social feed. You can see this is quite a quick summary of today's event. There's the MC. You can see some of the group's presentations, and one of the most favorite pictures would be obviously the judges who are here with us today. This is amazing work, Johnny. Well done. Exxaro prides itself with its young talent. And it is no surprise that our company continues to invest so much in the development of the youth. In 2019 alone, Exxaro supported 39 Bursars studying across various institutions in South Africa at a cost of 3.7 million rands. The graduate Bursars are the company's main source of talent, making up to 70% of its pipeline into the company's workforce. Exxaro awards bursaries to students from local communities to pursue careers in technical disciplines such as engineering, mine surveying, geology, electronics, and computer science. The bursary covers registration fees, tuition, books, accommodations, meals, and cash allowances. In the same spirit, I would like to play a short celebration video where Exxaro wants to acknowledge the Bursars' hard work and performance for 2019. This shows the top performers in each discipline over the various institutions. Let's have a look. Well done to our Bursars. Let's move over to our Did You Know segment. Did you know that Exxaro has pledged to invest 20 billion rands in South Africa, and this is aimed at building and expanding the organization's production portfolio in the short to mid-term future. And our executive head of projects and technology, Mr. Johan Meyer, summed it up very nicely during one of the interviews he had last year. He said, and I quote, "Exxaro's strategic business may be coal production, but we believe this is the foundation upon which we can deliver our broader objectives and purpose, powering better lives in Africa and beyond." End quote. I would like to introduce our last individual presenter, Tivali Muvungu. She is a third-year PIT currently based at Grootegeluk. Tivali believes that we must treat any development as a marathon rather than a sprint, where endurance and persistence is key. Today, she will take you guys through Matla's journey to a digital representation of their electrical reticulation. This digital representation will allow us to optimize the electrical reticulation of the mine. Let's have a look at the highlights of the presentation.
Good day. I'm here to take you through our journey to a digital representation of Matla electrical reticulation. It is a fact that electricity fatality rate in the mining industry is 8 to 12 times higher than other industries. And electrical reticulation is the infrastructures that are used to transmit electricity from the source up until where the electrical loads are. This includes our equipment in the substation, our conductors, our transformers, and the switch gears. It's all part of the electrical reticulation. Now let's look at our old system. Our Matla electrical reticulation was represented in the form of single line diagrams in our PDFs and paper formats. We can all agree that is not efficient. Now, what was the problem? The problem was that we did not have an accurate representation of our electrical reticulation. This means that we could not predict how our network would perform when certain changes were supposed to be made in the electrical reticulation. ETAP is an electrical transient analyzer that is used to draw single line diagrams digitally before we implement anything on site. It's important for us to make analysis and simulations before we implement anything on site. So this software helps us to do that efficiently. Now let's look at money. Let's talk money. It is proved that if you implement a digital representation of your network, you will improve or decrease your downtime by a minimum of 15%. What does 15% mean to Matla Mine? It means that we have saved more than 200 million rands.
Welcome on stage, Tilly. And I would like to say what a very insightful and brilliant presentation. Now, our audience have a single question for you. Collins is asking, how do you propose to keep these reticulation digital representations updated as changes occur at the mine?
Okay, good question. In fact, ETAP is applied all over our BUs. So if you want an ETAP model, you can just ask IT to activate that for you. So anyone can have access to ETAP. And then how you can do it or how we can achieve that is that we have a centralized ETAP model of Matla at the current moment. It's stationed at Matla. So if anyone wants to make changes on that model, can just ask someone to give them that model. I can also do that for you. And then what we're doing is you can make changes on the model, but that doesn't necessarily affect the main model of the Matla reticulation. So there will be controls that are in place to approve any changes that you make when they happen. So it's, I think it is access to the reticulation that you can keep it updated when changes happen. So I think that's how we are gonna go forward with that.
Thank you so much, Tilly. It is now time to move over to our
roasters.
Here it goes, roast segment. Judges, over to you.
Thank you, Sanil. Thank you, Chilwali, for this presentation that you have made for us, and thanks for sharing your knowledge in this space. And the presentation itself lends itself in the safety space, and in that it will, if implemented, will impact people's lives in a positive way. And as I went through your presentation, my mind was rushing to the end to find out what is actually going to be the end of this interesting story, given its own importance. Would you share with us the process that you have undertaken with the Matla management in terms of making sure what you have researched inside Exxaro is indeed going to be put in place and in practice?
Okay, so interesting enough, we already have this model in Matla. So it's not something that is a concept, something that is there. In the presentation, you will see I refer to two scenarios, one at Belfast and one at Matla. And in Matla, we were able to use this ETAP model that is already in place to solve a problem that could have cost us maybe more than 9 hours. And we were able to solve that problem in less than an hour. So it's highlighted there in the presentation. So yeah, it's already implemented. It's working now. There are steps going forward because this ETAP model has only started to just open doors for us. We are able to make studies now, but in the future, we're planning to have remote monitoring of the network, so you will see when something happens on site, and you can be able to act when something happens. At the present moment, we rely on reactive maintenance. We are planning to move to preventative maintenance because we'll be able to load forecast. We'll be able to see what's going to happen in the future with that model. So the model is there at the present moment. It's just going to open more doors for us in the future.
Okay, given your answer, I suppose that in your work that you undertook, in the development of your problem statement, you found lots of pitfalls and shortcomings inside the organization. Have you then considered, given the fact that the project has been implemented even in 2 operations, the monitoring and evaluation based on your baseline that you put in the past in terms of what you were putting in there as time lost of production and obviously potential incident? So from a monitoring and evaluation going forward in terms of what you said, whether it is actually a reality, has that work taken place?
Yes, so this is something that is already implemented, like I said, in Matla. But in the future, going forward, we're going to implement it all over our BUs. So there was a system that was used in Grootegeluk in the past that is similar to ETAP. But now we are now implementing ETAP because it has a lot of benefits.
Okay.
So I'll make an example. So if you want to build a single line diagram on ETAP, you can also be able to put coordinates exactly where your infrastructure is. Whereas with the Dig Silent, you can put the single line diagrams, you can put that the transformer and the sizes and everything, but you cannot put the coordinates for that. And with that being said, there is our energy supplier, I won't mention them by name. There were projects, that they were doing, and so they could not find the coordinates or where the infrastructure is, like the cable route. That takes a lot of time to see where the cable is and all. We don't want to end up like that. When we want to implement a project in our infrastructure or electrical infrastructure, we want to know exactly where there is. So there was a software like this, but now we've moved to ETAP. I don't know if that answers your question or if you have a follow-up question.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tivali. A very relevant topic indeed. In your presentation, you mentioned a 15% improvement on downtime, 15%.
Yeah.
Was that an actual figure based on the actual breakdowns that you guys had, or is it a theoretical figure?
It's a theoretical figure because we only implemented this project at the beginning of this year, so we haven't really collected data in terms of how much we're saving so far. But
okay.
Yeah, it's
but based on the incidents that you guys have had this year, is the 15% standing, or is it actually more than 50%?
It's actually more than that. It's actually more than that because with the scenario that I mentioned, that problem, if you lose a VT, just to get a new VT and putting it a voltage transformer, for those who don't know.
Thank you. I'm thinking of VT now.
Anyways, just to get the new voltage transformer and then put it in place, that is a labor-intensive task. So it takes a lot of hours, but we were able to solve that within an hour. So I think it can be more going forward.
And then also in your presentation, you cited the 2 days standing time at Belfast. I was there. We were very frustrated. So I just want to know how your solution could have actually saved us reduce that 2-day standing time?
Okay, so the solution at the current moment, with the use of SCADA, so in Matla we have SCADA as well as ETAP. So the model that we have built can do studies, but it cannot necessarily monitor what is happening on site when it happens. So that's one thing that we are still working on, but we have SCADA on our side, so we can be able to see if there's a fault on the line, we can see exactly where there is. Whereas as at Belfast, you don't have that. You don't have an ETAP model, you don't have a SCADA.
Are you listening, Maggie?
So that can be difficult, but with our model, we can be able to see exactly where the fault is, and then that makes it easy for you to fix fast enough.
Okay. And then I think your solution can actually be expanded to Eskom so that they can actually ensure that we've got a reliable source of electricity outside load shedding. So are you guys thinking?
Okay, so in terms of Eskom, I think at the current moment how this helps us with Eskom is that if there is a fault in our side, like the incident that I mentioned with Belfast, if we had the model, we're going to be able to dismiss the fault from our side. We're going to say that there's nothing wrong on our side, but we did not have the confidence to say that because we could not see what was happening on site. So when they said everything from their side is fine, we took their word for it, which was not true. So in terms of that, and then in terms of load shedding, I don't think we can influence what Eskom is doing from their side.
No, I said excluding load shedding.
Excluding load shedding. Okay, so I think that's the only way for now that we can influence that.
No, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Again, it taught me a lot, so it was really good to go through the presentation and the detail. From a benefits point of view, you focused very much on obviously the safety side of it, and you've mentioned now in some of your answers about around the maintenance. Is there an opportunity to sort of leverage this for things like demand side management, efficiency type of management? Is there a way that it can play into that space as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely, because when you have this model, right, you have exactly what is happening on site. So if you want to implement a project, let's say, for instance, you want to put a transformer, and then you have this model, so you know exactly what load you will need. So you will not load your transformer or underload it. You won't have a network that is not used to its maximum capacity. So in that way, your maintenance also will be improved. I think also in terms of, like I said, fault finding, your maintenance is also improved there. And then also going forward, I know you didn't ask this, but going forward, this software will help us in terms of renewable energy. We have heard a lot about renewable energy. So before we implement any PV on site or wind turbine, we can do a feasibility study on this digital representation to see if it's feasible. Does it make sense for us to implement this? It will also help us in terms of tariffs. So in peak hours, electricity most of the time is 3 times or 4 times more expensive than in a normal time, and your peak times are very small. So in the future, going forward, you will be able to use your renewable energy source in the peak times, and then you will reduce your electricity consumption. So it can be able to do a lot of things. It will be able to do a lot of things in the future.
Thank you. And then another question, which is probably just a representation in the slides, but you mentioned your downtimes and the 2,400 hours. That's 100 days. And I assume that's not actually impacting the whole production of the mine, but rather it could be a pump electrical downtime all the way through to sort of an income or something like that. So I think, and I'm not sure how that influenced the financials and the benefits that you spoke about, but so just from a financial model or a benefits case point of view, just to be very clear on What scale is the downtime, and then what are the associated financial impacts with that?
Yeah, I do agree with you. That could have been represented a lot more clearer, because the 24% that I mentioned, or the 24,000 hours that I mentioned, is 2,400.
2,400.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's with the section. So in the mine, you find that the section is cutting at the same time as the other section. Then the cumulative hours is the combination of the two. So I do understand and I agree with you.
But thank you.
Yes.
A question on my side. Looking at the presentation is mostly focused on ETAP.
Okay.
So I'd like to know from you if, from a technical and financial perspective, is there anything else in the market, considering not looking at what we've used previously and understanding that ETAP is actually we already have it in place to an extent and maybe not fully realizing its potential, but what else is there in the market that is similar to ETAP?
So in terms of the software?
Yeah.
So there is Dixilent, like I mentioned. So that's your Power Factory. So that is in the market. Obviously, we also looked at that, and it has its own sides as well that I mentioned.
Please elaborate more on that.
Oh, on the Dixilent. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Dixilent is, like I mentioned before, you cannot put coordinates on in terms of where your equipment are. So that's one of the downsides of that. And also, we had Dixilent before, and it was not utilized because it's not easy to use. So with ETAP, people will agree with me that if you did mechanical or civil, you actually used it on university, you just forgot. So it's so easy to use in such a way that even if you're not electrical, you just put components together and you are done. You don't need to have like extensive knowledge in terms of electrical knowledge or that in place. And also we looked at MATLAB as well. People use that as well. And it also has its downsides as well because it's complicated. People who did MATLAB will also agree with me that it was not an easy course to do in university. So that's one of the things that we also looked at.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much, judges, and thanks, Tivali. You may take your seat. It is that time, ladies and gentlemen, to engage with our audience here and our viewers joining us from the live stream. We are going to be doing another poll. So please open up your app, click on the live polls icon, and answer the first question. Do you prefer pineapples on your pizza or not? Option 1, yes, I love them. Or option 2, pineapples should not be eaten warm. Let's see your votes, guys. Yes, I love them. Sitting on number 1. Oh. So more people are voting actually on they love their pineapple. They love their pizza with pineapples. Let's move over to our second poll question. Exxaro's 5 culture pillars are option 1, responsibility, adaptable, open and connected, diverse, ownership, or option 2, a clear defined vision, always fun, teamwork, goals, people. Let's see how much you know Exxaro. There's 4 people who opted for a clear, defined vision. The second option is sitting on 94%. And the votes they keep on coming. Let's just see if maybe we might get few people on the second option. I feel like the 4% is from the PITs, but let's move right along. It is that time for our Did You Know segment. Did you know that in 2019, Exxaro had 74 professionals in training at a yearly cost of 34 million rands. 16 of the 18 PITs that completed the program were absorbed by the company into various positions. The remaining PITs have been retained for placements as and when the vacancies open. Moving right along to our third and final PIT group presentation. It is by the Mining Invigorators, presenting on building a community with extensive unemployment. The group looked at the communities where Exxaro operates. Using stats, the group managed to pick the most underdeveloped community. They then created initiatives that will curb the unemployment rates with the community. They looked at a range of initiatives like mobile training centers to uplift the skills developed. Let's have a look at the highlights of the presentation. The group may join us on stage.
So our project basically focuses on the 3 initiatives, starting off with the dynamic energy food solution, moving on then to the mobile training centers, and then the manufacturing of the lightweight aggregate with fly ash. So a dynamic energy food solution is basically a rice fishery complex that is coupled with a technology known as plant microbial fuel cells. Now, plant microbial fuel cells are basically using crops to generate electricity.
So the solution will focus on establishing 3 mobile training centers. One focusing on SMME and entrepreneurial development, one focusing on digital and e-learning skills, and then the last one focusing on construction and infrastructure development.
So Eskom is home to about 16 active coal-fired power stations, which consume about 120 million tons of coal per annum, which in turn produces about 36 million tons of ash. Now, it has been recorded that there is a lack of storage space for this ash that keeps on piling and piling and piling. Now, this gives us an opportunity for us to use this fly ash either as a cement extender, which is being done by many cement manufacturers globally, or to manufacture lightweight aggregate, which is not so common, particularly in South Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mining Invigorators are bringing 3 initiatives. The first initiative being the dynamic food solution, which is in line with the business of tomorrow for Exxaro. The second one is the training through mobile training. The third one is the manufacture of lightweight aggregate. Now, if we look at all these initiatives are resonating with Exxaro's values, specifically with the one that says empower to grow and contribute. Again, now, in terms of the overall solutions, this solution combats unemployment and empowers SMEs, as well as provides electrical, agricultural, marketing, and environmental skills. These solutions are sustainable and will continue to thrive beyond the life of mines. All these solutions have monetary benefit. They are self-sustaining. All these initiatives are part of the green economy, clean energy production and generation of food using natural and non-toxic methods.
Welcome to the stage, Mining Invigorators. Unfortunately, we do not have any questions from the audience. So they are sending you straight to the roast section. So guys, judges, it's all up to you now.
You can start. Are we on
So firstly, thank you. That was a very good presentation. I only have one question. My question is, with the initiatives being self-sustaining and understanding that Exxaro is putting in the capital to kickstart the process, I'd like to understand the operational management portion of it and how this will transition post-mining, where Exxaro is no longer operating in that area.
Okay, I'll take that question. So basically, what we're aiming to do is we just want to start it up, as you said. We want to basically get the skills. We want to get the people to basically own it. And once they own it, we want to transfer it to the SMMEs to drive and run this process. So another thing is, you might be asking yourself, if the SMMEs are going to drive and run this process, how are we actually going to be tracking and making sure that it is being sustainable and they are using this project? Now, the thing is, we kind of want to do a post-investment review type of view, if I can put it that way. And basically, it's just like quality checks, just checking in and making sure that the project is running efficiently and it's running the way it's supposed to. So that's basically the checks that we want to put in just to make sure the SMMEs are basically taking it over.
So what would Exxaro's role then be post the mining, where we no longer operational in the area, if the transition to SMMEs has already taken place?
So I would basically say that we would basically try to expand more on the projects that we have. There, our role would basically be more of a check-in role, just to make sure that the projects are running efficiently. But also just expanding, seeing that, okay, fine, that this project is doing really well, and maybe we can start expanding and getting more projects of this specific type in the area, or just diversifying it a bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add on that, what we can do in our engagement sessions with the municipality and everything, we can suggest to set up a forum that would ensure that even post-mining, these initiatives will continue to run. So this forum will do the check-ins and everything. So while the mine is still operating, we can work on strengthening this forum that will go on to take over of post-mining.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it was a great presentation, and I commend the team for looking for really innovative ideas in a number of different areas. So well done on that. But that does present a challenge because it creates lots of questions. So I'm just going to try and ask one in each of the areas. So with the PFMC, is it? PFMC, yeah. Obviously, the energy generation there is a factor of photosynthesis, and you speak about 24/7, 365 days a year. So I'm just wondering, how is the electricity produced at night? Is that something that happens?
Yeah, so basically, the way it's actually generating electricity, if we've seen on the presentation, photosynthesis is a very large portion of it. So your plants will take in the solar radiation, and basically also they take in your carbon dioxide. Based on those two, they basically give us the oxygen and also rhizo depositions. Now, at night, these rhizo depositions are still exited through the roots of the plant. Now, where the actual energy generation starts to take place is when these microorganisms plume. So microorganisms are always eating on these rhizo depositions. So overnight, even though that the photosynthesis may not be as high as we want it to be, but the microorganisms will still be breaking down these carbohydrates and sugars and then giving off those electrons. So at night, it's not going to be as efficient, but it still will take place.
Okay. Thank you. Then I'll ask both of the next questions at the so that you can think about them. So on the mobile training solution side, I appreciate there's a significant cost, as you guys mentioned. Did you look at any options around financing these things, or maybe not so much financing, but like the Lambda School, which looks at you only pay once you get a job out of that to prove sort of the success in the program, or anything more creative? Because I think 8,000 Rand is probably a significant component for some of the communities. So were any other options looked at in that space? So that's the mobile training solutions. And then on the aggregate side, you mentioned the premium that would be required for this. So I'm just wondering, what does your market look like for that? Because aggregate is something that doesn't travel well, and if we're creating it in the communities that we're within, how do you justify sort of paying a premium for a product in a lower LSM market?
So from the mobile training centers, the funding, 8,000 Rand, I must say, is a lot for someone who's not employed, but there's government regulations already in place. There's the National Skills Fund. And then we already have the mine houses and Exxaro, the SRP commitments that we have. So from the funding can come from there. And definitely we would want to have a mentoring program afterwards where you can plow back into the training once you've completed it. So creating jobs, and also through that, if a company is getting, and SMMEs needs certain skills, they can also from their side pump into the training for the needed skills that they need to acquire.
On the second question, okay, so in terms of the market, it is currently not so well in South Africa, but if there is a market currently for normal aggregate, then there is a market for lightweight aggregate. So what needs to happen basically is for us to come up with marketing strategies to sell the product to South Africa, basically. And some of the benefits or the advantages, it might not be seen in maybe the price and everything, but in terms of transportation, there is a great benefit because of its reduction in the weight, and also structural costs. For high-rise buildings, especially in the commercial market, there is a great benefit because you have a reduction in the weight of the concrete, which means that your foundation does not have to be, you don't spend that much on the foundation, and also in terms of steel. So we need to market it. And then another thing when the research was done is that we could look also into or liaise with the government for their RDP program, where we can look into also supplying them with the material to make sure that they cover up their backlog or something like that.
Cool. Thank you. I suppose just building on that, and sorry, but I think just maybe a message, and it's probably to all the teams, is I don't want to sound like the financial guy here because I definitely am not, but I think more broadly about what are the operating costs and setup costs around this, because things like marketing material, that type of thing, are things that need to be quite, and I know you had some of the numbers in here, but I think as you know, when you're looking at feasibilities of projects, I think you need to look much further, or much more broadly beyond just the obvious items. So yeah, I mean, things like funding and how can you create funding, what does it cost us to establish a fund, what would it be around the marketing side. So, but I think great ideas and stuff that we could really look at taking forward, so thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, team. Very interesting topic indeed, and it aligns very well with the UN Global Goals for Sustainable Development, and it actually ticks a lot of the goals there. But like Alex said, you know, very out-of-the-box topic, so the questions were also out of the box. So the first question from my side, the deep water pond fish and the wild rice farming, the weather conditions in eMalahleni, will that be conducive for such a project?
Yes, so if in one of my slides, I basically got evaluation criteria. So for that wild rice and for the deep water pond for the fish, we basically looked at a bunch of factors. There were sulfate ion concentrations, we looked at temperature, we looked at a whole bunch of factors, and for the wild rice and for the trout, it was actually ideal for those things to grow efficiently.
Okay, no, awesome. And then the mobile training centers. Exxaro, I know, has a lot of, they call them incubators in our host communities. How will this be different from that offering?
So we can actually incorporate this training facilities into helping the incubation centers, supplying the training. But what we are looking more is trying to get certified courses, so getting accreditation and supplying more in-depth training than what your normal just incubation hub for SMMEs will do. So it's not where you get a certificate of completion, but actually maybe have like a sort of certificate with accreditation behind it. So it's just supplying a higher grade, and through that we can also incorporate it, because you say we have already existing initiatives. We can just empower them through our mobile training facilities.
Okay. Just to build on that, and then to latch on what Alex has said, I mean, there's a lot of expectations from most of our host communities, and there's also a tendency to expect certain things from Exxaro. So did you guys maybe do a test to see how willing are the communities to actually pay now Exxaro where they expect Exxaro to be doing, the funding of this, the funding of that, now we'll be expecting them to actually pay to come and get some services from Exxaro.
So I can add on to that one. Before we actually started with all these solutions, we actually did a bit of a survey and we did interviews as well. So in the surveys, what we did was we had a bunch of questions, and these questions were involved in it in terms of the training, whether the guys would be willing to pay, and what courses would they like to go for. So we had quite good results. And it was a case that the 8,000 Rand amount was a bit too high, but the people are willing to pay a smaller amount of money, but just to get the required skills that are in demand in today's world.
Okay.
And also, just to add on that, as when we were presenting, some of the costs that are associated with the courses would be covered by SLP commitments and other government grants. So it's just a matter of us determining which, as part of the SLPs, which can be covered, and see how we can meet the community halfway.
Okay. And then the fly ash project, did you guys look at the risk of exposure to coal ash? Because I believe it does contain some element of mercury, and then if not properly managed, can contaminate your water streams and all that. So we wouldn't want to create a health problem by trying to solve an employment problem. Did you guys look at the risk associated with dealing with coal ash?
Okay, so yes, we did look at that. Basically, on an environmental impact analysis, we see that this will be either it's either class F or a class D waste facility. And based on that, we basically have a structure that will cater for the leachability of those harmful elements. So we did take that into account as well.
Okay, and then just the last comment, I'm sure Tatu Veti will talk on it. I saw there was a post on LinkedIn that was done recently, which talks to using the rehabilitated mined land for agricultural purposes. But I'm sure maybe he will want to touch on that. But thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks, Tamara, for that. For obvious reasons, I got stuck with the dynamic food side of your presentation, which was very interesting for me. Would you perhaps tell us if this technology is matured in countries like India and Netherlands, why would we not have it in South Africa, in your own mind? What do you think are the factors contributing to that?
So if we're looking at the plant microbial fuel cell technology, currently it's still pricey. It's a very expensive module to basically put into South Africa. So there's a cost factor that comes into play. But also if you're looking at like India, for instance, in terms of weather conditions and the heat that they experience, the temperatures, they have a much higher temperature range. And if you look at rice basically gives us the best amount of energy that we need. And those countries, they have, because they're well suited for rice, that's why the technology is more widely common there as compared to South Africa.
Okay, from a commercialization aspect of this dynamic energy food, do you really think that it can be a commercialized business in the domestic market? And if so, why are you saying that?
So yes, definitely it can be a commercialized business in our market, mainly because we're basically generating actual clean electricity. Now this here is going to be a plus point, because if you look at plant microbial fuel cells, and if you compare that against solar energy, everybody thinks that it's great because we're getting energy from the sun, but how do you actually get those solar panels? Now, those solar panels undergo major processes where there's a lot of like sulfur dioxides and a lot of harmful chemicals that are released into the atmosphere. So if we're looking at this, yes, we can, because the plant microbial fuel cell technology is really great. We have food security in this project as well, because we're actually we're actually growing our own crops, and also we're selling trout and harvesting the trout. So it definitely can be commercialized and expanded.
And just to add on that, if we can see in terms of the wild rice, we currently get it in shops such as Woolies. So it would be a healthier option in terms of the rice as well.
Okay. Lastly, from ecosystem point of view, what would you say are the benefits of these projects that you have put up forward? And in it, if one of you or the group like this is asked by Exxaro to go develop this project and commercialize them, would you take the challenge?
So the latter part of your question, definitely, because it's highly implementable, and it will definitely work. So from my side, yes, we will.
I'm backing you as well with that. And then just in terms of, for instance, the training facilities, there's also, in the digital sphere, there's a lot of free training courses. And through the surveys as well, we recognize that one of the problems is actually traveling to facilities. So there is a lot of facilities, but it's getting to them. And now we're taking the training to the community. So we are focusing really on empowering the community itself, and through that, making it sustainable and to thrive. So, yeah, I would take on the challenge any day.
Thank you, guys. Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you, judges. And PITs, you may take your seats. Judges, you will now have some time to make your final decision before revealing the results. We have put something just to thank the PITs. May you please play the video.
Never give up and never underestimate yourself. You have the potential to be whatever you want to be. You are the CEO of your life.
So for me, so growing up, I grew up in this location type of situation, you know, and in our street, I lived in one of the smallest houses. So I used to get teased a lot by the kids on the street in terms of, you know, how small our house is relative to theirs. And I came home one day and I just told my mom that, listen, this is what's going on, and honestly, I think we should move here. When are we, you know? And immediately she stopped me and she said, listen, you're a child. You've never even bought a house. If they're teasing anyone, in fact, they're teasing me. And don't let that be something that takes away from you how big you can actually get to be, way even bigger than this house or their houses that they're even bragging to you about, you know. Your success is determined not by where you come from, but it's determined by where you're going and how determined you are right now to make something big out of yourself. So if they ever come at you again with the small house, just think of how big your dreams are and focus on that. And now that I'm here, I just look back and I'm just like, wow. Wow.
And tell me now, with this also, you've put in incredible amounts of work for this presentation. I'm sure you've spent a lot of time, a lot of thought. But in these careers you've chosen, you've spent tremendous amount of time studying, you've sacrificed, you work incredibly hard. Who in your life do you think would be the most proud of you should your presentation be chosen as the winner? Who in your personal life do you think would be the most proud of you if you win this?
Myself. I'll be proud of myself. Pulling through. I'll be very proud of myself. This was a challenging topic, and considering that we wanted to diversify Exxaro, we had to consider finances and all these aspects, and those sleepless nights that we were spending as a group. I'll be really proud of myself.
I think for me, it would definitely be my dad, because I'm like a daddy's girl, so he knows everything. So I'll tell him, this is what we're doing, this is how the project is going. So I think he'll be very proud to know that we actually want this, because there are times when I call him and I'm like, you know what, I'm just tired, I just want to go underground and actually work. These people are not gelling, you know? So I think if we win here, I think he's the one person who will definitely be proud.
Good day, everyone. This is Enoch, the father to Lenkwang. To Lenkwang, I took the opportunity given to me to wish you good luck in your presentation. I have always known that you are a very strong person. If you have faith in your ability, success will come your way eventually. I must also indicate that I'm very proud of you. You are a daughter everyone is wishing to have. May God bless you.
For me, I would say myself as well, because I think like from the beginning of the project, I was always the one that was quiet, and so winning it would actually be, you know, prove to myself that I actually could do it, and I did it, and that will also boost my confidence to say.
Yeah, it's generally a tough question. I think the list is long, but I think for me personally, it would be specifically in Exxaro, Tepo Nkwe, who has quite invested a lot in me from day one. So I think it could be a good thank you and a good acknowledgement of his efforts.
I think my friend Gwena Munyai will actually be very proud of me. She's very supportive throughout. When they were nice that I would want to give up, to say that this project is not going anywhere, she would stay up with me and, you know, work on this presentation together. So I think she will be the most proud, and, you know, I'll be very happy.
To say that I'm super proud of you. I know it hasn't been an easy journey, but throughout the whole process, you were highly motivated and showed great dedication to your work. And your hard work paid off. I mean, you made it this far. So I'm super, super, super proud of you. I hope you win today. Fingers crossed. Love you.
My brother would be so much proud of me. I think more than anything, the guy has been there with me. Sometimes I refer to him as the deputy father, but he probably doesn't know. But a lot of things that I have learned from him, even dressing up, like putting on a tie, he actually taught me how to put on a tie. So I think he would be very much proud of myself, and he would actually tell me that he is proud of me.
Warra, I am so proud of you, man, and I'm very happy for you. I just want to take this opportunity to say good luck and all the best, man. And I know that you have given it your best shot. Good luck. Press on, man.
For me, that's so easy. It would be Mookie, my mother. She's the one, through all the stresses that was there, she was the one. She phoned me before this, so yeah, I think Mookie and Pookie, so for those two, they've been supporting me all the way, so they would be ecstatic for me and for our group, because this was a group effort.
Hi Kwissa, hierdie is 'n baie spesiale oomblik in my lewe. Ek wil net vir jou sê dat my hart bars van trots oor jou. Jy en jou groep het julle allerbeste gegee vir hierdie projek, en in Mam se oë is julle verseker die wenners. Dis awesome om te sien hoe jy vlieg met die vlerke wat God vir jou gegee het. Mams is jou grootste fan, ek hou vir julle styf duim vas.
For me it would be my mother, definitely my mother. She would be so excited, and for the international trip, yo, she would be ecstatic. So yeah, it would be my mother.
Joanna, my daughter, I am proud of you. You have never disappointed me throughout your schooling years. Continue to be an inspiration to everyone in the family and around the world. I wish you good luck in everything that you do. God bless you.
For myself, it would be for my daughter. I seem to be like inspiring her, because when I was telling her I'm in a group and I'm doing a project, she's like, "Mommy, but you're working. How is it that you are in a group and you are doing a project?" And I'm like, "It's part of my job, my daughter." So it would be her.
Hello Mom, I hope that you get chosen for your presentation. I hope you always know that you're my inspiration to try harder in life. And once again, good luck, and I love you.
From my side, it will definitely be my brother. I mean, he's my better half, my younger brother. And I mean, even before this PIT symposium, even before the mini symposium, he was like, "Hey, please, can you just show me your presentation and then let's go through it. Give me a bit of a voiceover on it." So yeah, it will definitely be him from my side, yes.
What is it, Trish? Let me enlighten your colleagues a little bit about you to us. Well, you know, whenever someone asks me the question, who do you look up to? Someone would expect me to say Nelson Mandela, Elon Musk. Well, my answer was always my brother, Prishan. I just wanted to tell you, we are proud of you and all the best.
My mom. My mother. I remember when I was graduating, I remember how proud she was of me. So me just going to her and telling her, "Mama."
Hello, son. Congratulations. I'm just so happy for you for a wonderful and impressive presentation that you made for your project. And keep it up. You made me a proud mom. So my message to you is that you always have to be willing to learn, because the more you learn is the more you know that there's a lot that you don't know about. I would like to congratulate you and your team. Good luck, and thank you very much.
Also, the person that will be the most proud will also definitely be my mom. I think just getting into this stage, when I told that she, like, you could see the tear forming. So yeah, it's quite nice to tell her. So hopefully I'll be able to tell her that we've won as well. Okay.
Dear Bernard, I know how hard you've worked and all the effort you've put into Ashley. And I just want to say to you how proud I am of what you have accomplished. And if I may say, I'm the proudest mom on the whole earth. And if it's our Father's will for you to win, I know you will enjoy every moment of that venture. I wish you all of the best, and to God all the honor.
I also think my parents will be, they will be the happiest. Although this information, they are very elderly, so they might not get into the fun. But I see my siblings celebrating this moment with me the entire time. The fact that I'll probably go travel abroad, so for them it's going to be their treat the entire time. So I think, yeah, those are the biggest people that will celebrate.
Hello, my friend, Susan here. Us as a family, we're really proud of what you did with your presentation at Exxaro. May God be with you. All the best. Good luck. Love you.
Yeah, I actually think it's very funny how we came up with the name Love Your Mother. Because that's the name of our group. And to be honest with me, also, my mother is the one person who's going to be like, wow, like, because she's seen me through all of the tears and I want to come home from
our group.
I want to come home from the varsity days, and yeah, through the whole working experience thing, you know, and me getting there and telling her, okay, listen, we won, number one. Number two, we're going on an international trip. She's never been on a plane before, so you can imagine how listen, I need to pack in my suitcase or something. So that she can just go through that experience with me. But I definitely know for a fact she's going to be the most happiest. Listen, we might just make a whole street bash at my is going to America. Yeah. So that, yeah, definitely my mom.
Hi Wilhelmina and the team. You know, you made us proud, you know, as parents, as, you know, moms. I'm so proud of you, my baby. Keep up the good job and make your company proud. Make your managers proud. And I believe in you, and I do know that they believe in you. So please keep up the good work. I'm so thankful and grateful for the good job that you have done and that you are doing. Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Enjoy yourself there.
I think 2 years, for the past 2 years, you just sit there and you watch these winning groups and you're like, wow, this is amazing. How did they even get there? And I mean, for us mining guys, we're just used to being underground, mining, working with people, that's it. So I think winning this will put us on a very different level. I think we'll also gain that respect on the shafts because I think we missed a lot of shifts. And people are like, these guys are just not serious about what they're doing. So winning it will definitely put us on a different level. And I think we'll gain a lot of credibility and respect from our supervisors on the shafts. Yeah. A very different experience, so thank you so much to the team for bringing us here. I mean, you always see these things in the movies and you ask yourself, how on earth do these guys do this? And I mean, to experience this was absolutely amazing. So from my side, I love working for Exxaro. I wouldn't change it for any other company. So yeah.
I really had fun, guys. I had fun.
Yeah, from me to my group. It was great. It was fun. Very memorable. Best time of my career experience, literally. So thank you guys so much. And also to our PIT mom. Yep, I don't want to expose her. She always puts in so much effort into this event, and coming up with all of this. Kudos to her and her team. I think this was very a very different flavor to what Exxaro has been doing. And I think it definitely should be noticed and should be celebrated as well. So yeah.
I think the reaction of the PITs sums it up. They didn't know when we were interviewing them that we will actually go to the people that would be proud of them. And guys, this is very, very much inspiring. You've heard the words from the people that support you, that have been with you, and I would like to also say thank you so much for the great work you have done. I will now move over to the culture video. May you please play it.
Okay, so I think when it comes to the culture themes within Exxaro, the one that's definitely spoke to me during this project was ownership. Because since this is quite a new project and it's the first of its kind, a lot of the times new problems were found. And there wasn't really someone that I could turn to for the answers. And that forced me to actually take ownership of these various problems and sort them out and get to a working solution. So definitely I want to thank the CEO for driving this theme, to take ownership and make something your own as you progress through it. And as you find solutions, because that's really then when you find personal growth and when you can add a lot of value to the company. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity that's been given to me.
Our culture theme is being open and connected.
So if you look at being open and connected, I think teamwork basically fits in well with that. And if you're looking at the teamwork and implementing this in our PIT Symposium, I mean, as a group, we're basically a family. And I mean, when anyone needed help, we were there for one another. So I think that was one of the very important aspects of being open and connected. Even though we weren't really in the open together, we still were connected, and that was through teams.
So throughout the project, we had to collaborate as a team with the moving times and with the situations that we had. So we're all from different departments working on a project that doesn't fall within our area of expertise. And through collaboration, we had the opportunity to create some great solutions.
Mr. Mkolisi, we as the future leaders of Exxaro, we would like to pledge and embrace the spirit of open and connected.
In the beginning of this PIT program, I was told to be the CEO of my own progression. I've learned a lot about responsibility, how to be responsible for my own progress in this PIT program. Thank you, Mr. Mgojo.
So, Exxaro has 5 great culture themes, but the one that we embrace the most for our PIT Symposium group, Love Your Mother, is adaptability. Mahlodi, take it away.
I remember the first time when I met the CEO, he talked about the story of the pit stop on a race course. He said that what you do in your pit stop will determine your wins throughout your race course. Therefore, it is critical that we need to change how we do things every year to ensure that we stay winning.
Yes, and I definitely think one of the great examples of that was how this year we had to use Teams and Microsoft Teams to actually build this team and work on our project throughout due to this whole COVID thing that's going on. And I could honestly say that we honestly embraced that adaptability theme with this whole project, and I think we can say that we've reached quite a high success level here.
So colleagues and Exco, thank you so much for introducing this culture theme of adaptability. We've seen how it worked throughout the year, and we promise to take it forward in the coming years. We are Love Your Mother.
One value that is so close to me within Exxaro is committed to excellence. We as the young professionals are always allowed to drive our own career development and challenge the status quo in pursuit of performance improvement and operational excellence. One quote that I love is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He indicates that if a man has to do a job, he must do it so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn couldn't do it any better. Dear Mr. Morojo, this specific value is so important to me that I will even practice it with my children in my house someday.
Hi, we are Africanization, and our culture theme is diversity.
As a group, we are diversified across profession and personalities, and this was one of our key strengths while working towards our common goal.
Being diversified across disciplines has allowed us to give different perspectives to the same problem, bringing different experiences using diversity to come to a common solution.
Mr. Policy, we as a diversified workforce commit ourselves to coming together to achieve a common goal.
We are Africanization, and our culture theme is diversity.
Diversified from head to toe.
I think out of all the videos we have shown today, this is one of the best ones I've seen. Guys, this is such a very, very beautiful thing. Embracing Exxaro's culture and putting it into your work and even in your personal space. It is now time to welcome back our CEO virtually to make the winners' announcements. PITs, please take note. Photos will be taken after the symposium, except first prize winners. Mr. Mkolisi, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sandile, for being such a great host. You know, I didn't know that you are just such a showman, and you really entertained us, I must say. Thank you very, very much for that. All I can say is, wow. I'm actually really moved beyond disbelief, in the sense that I just am just so proud of these youngsters. And at some point I have to admit that there were even a bit of tears that rolled down my eyes, because I could see to what extent you gave of yourself in just even being, not only the work that you did behind the scenes, but the commitment and the dedication and the way you showed up today. So let me first just thank you all for who you are and what you mean to this organization with the thousands of other people of this organization. I'm very proud of you guys. And I can clearly say that as I have entered my 60s, with retirement not far into the future, I can honestly and confidently say that, man, do we have such great caliber in our midst who are going to take this baton and really take us into the future, knowing that at least my pension will be secured in your hands. So let me just salute you all. Just being here today, to me, you are all winners. You are all winners. And I lost the job of being a judge because I've been there before. And when you have such quality, such high standard, it just makes your job so much more difficult to really choose who becomes a winner at the end of the day. So I am so happy that I didn't have that responsibility on my hands. But I would want to also say on behalf of my EXCO team and the leadership of this organization and the board that, you know, the investment that this company made when they chose you at the beginning is really, we are getting a great return on it, an excellent return on it. So thank you again for that. And I just also want to thank the conveners of this session, because there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes in preparing for this. The team that works with the PITs, supporting the PITs, and you guys have done an excellent job. And I just want to also thank you. So really thanks to everybody who has made this day such a great, great, great success. And now it comes to that very challenging time when now I have to announce the winners. Now, I've always tried to make it a bit difficult to just come out to say, well, this is the winner. I'm trying to find ways of keeping you guessing. You know, because when I always say it's number 3, this is the 3rd position, then you make it difficult for me now to say between the 1st and the 2nd whom I should start with, because then it just becomes very, very obvious. So I still don't have any new tricks up my sleeve. So you can say that I'm rambling and babbling because I know the contestants are waiting for me, and so I'm going to string you just a little bit longer, because I want to test another value probably that's not there, is patience. Patience. But no, let me not hold you up any longer. You see, it's easy when you are in a secluded environment and I don't have to look at you in the face with great anticipation. Probably you biting your nails, but let me take you out of your misery. Let us start with the individual contestants. Now, please just remember one thing. I'm just the messenger, okay? I'm just the messenger of news. The judges are the ones who made this decision. So, me, I'm just being asked to do or instructed to do a job. Yes, CEOs get instructed too. So the judges instructed me to do this job. So let's start with the individual. I will start with third place. And it's such a very close score. It must have been a split of hairs here in terms of between number 1 and number 3, a split of hairs. Third place in the individual category, and please, let's clap, give a round of applause for each contestant. Third place of individual category goes to Matthews. Let us give Matthews a big applause. Well done, Matthews. Well done. Your brother has every reason to be proud of you, as I am proud of you, as we are proud of you. You are truly, truly, truly a great, fine young man. Well done. Now, between number 1 and number 2, I'm going to go and announce number 1. Because if I give you number 2, you'll all automatically now just know who number 1 is, right? So it just sort of takes the fun away a little bit from that. So, who will be number 1? Well, the judges say the first place in this category goes to, can we give a drum roll, please? All right, I hear the drum roll. I hear the drum roll. It is Bernard. First place goes to Bernard. Okay, before all of that, I still need to recognize somebody here. All right, let's just wait a little bit. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Bernard is going to have his chance because we need to also honor this other young man for also such a sterling performance. A good job. And really being very proud of you for your sterling achievement. So the second place goes to, as we know, Tivali. So let's give him also a round of applause for this great, great performance. Really. Great. We are very proud of your achievements. We are very proud of you being part of us. We are very proud of your success. And we wish you also all the best into the future. So thank you very much for everything. Thank you. And now, Bernard, over to you. And I saw, I think, was it Vanisha was already going up there. So let me switch over now to the main stage. You may proceed now, Punesha. Thank you very much, Bernard, and really, again, well done for your presentation, and thank you very much for your hard effort. And we wish you also great success. We look forward to all of these projects. One thing I like about the projects that are normally given are that they are real problems that require real solutions. So we are very excited and that's hence why I say all these projects are winners, because out of them we get new solutions, which some of them have already started being implementing, others are being rolled out, and others are about to be rolled out. So everybody is a winner here in this instance. Thank you very much. Okay, and so now we go to the next category, the team category. And again, you know, I think this is where the true test of teamwork gets really, really demonstrated. I mean, we've heard the challenges that the teams have had to go through and overcome, having to work in a virtual environment, different BUs, different professions having to come together in a virtual environment to solve very complex problems. Wow. All I can say is that well done. Well done. And so then, in this category, and again, I will, in this instant, again, start with the number third place in this category. And that is, let me see, you know, I've got to make sure that I've got my glasses on properly. Third place in this category goes to the, can we get a drum roll, please? Drum roll, drum roll. Okay. It goes to Africanization. And I just want to congratulate the team for some of these very creative ideas that you guys came up with. And I know a lot of these solutions, you know, even got Mongezi very, very excited. And when Mongezi gets excited, you know that things must be talking closely to his heart. And I think all of these actually did do that to him and also to all of us. Well done to you, team. Greatly proud of you. Greatly appreciate what you've presented today. And this time I'm going to go to, that is, if only the winning team doesn't spoil it for the second team by being too excited too early and take away the opportunity of the excitement to go to number 2. So if I announce number 2, can the winning team just please contain yourselves and let's give the stage to the second team here. The number 2 team goes to the mining Invigorators. Let us give them a big applause, ladies and gentlemen. A big applause. A big applause. Well done, guys. Well done. Well done. Well done. Really, really well done. Really good stuff that you presented to us, and very proud of that. Thank you very much. And so now, if we may just give a drum roll to the winning team. Love your mother. And it's very, what a name, love your mother. Oh my goodness. I love my mother. And I'm sure many of us love our mothers. And I know all of us love our Mother Earth. Well done, team. Well done. Congratulations. Congratulations. Well done. And I know that our board members are also really very inspired by all of you, all the people that are presented here today. You have really, really done a splendid job. And also the EXCO is very proud of you. Well done. Well done. All right. Yeah, there they are, ladies and gentlemen. There they are. There they are. And so Sandile, for the moment, let me then hand over to you. I know that now I'm supposed to be also talking about the, is this the right time that I'm supposed to be talking about the prizes now? Can somebody just help me out so that I don't make a mistake here?
It is, Mr. CEO, it is the right time to talk about the prizes.
Okay, the prizes, as it is communicated to me, let me make sure I get the right spreadsheet. Oh my goodness, I don't want to suddenly say a figure and then I have to come and defend myself the next time people see me to say, how did I come up with that number? Now, I am told that the prize is going to be the same as last year insofar as the monetary side of it. Now, what qualifies an overseas trip is something that gets determined by the judges as to whether they believe from a standard point of view that the prize for first position is going to qualify for an overseas trip. Now that has not been yet communicated to me. But what has been communicated to me thus far is that the normal prize, as we had it last year, for each of the categories. Now, you've got to remind me, Vanisha, because unfortunately, these things get sent to you in an email, and in that email time, so many other emails come. So now I'm trying to make sure that I'm opening up the right email and the right spreadsheet to make sure that I don't make any mistake. Let me see. Okay, can somebody sort of help me out? Who sent the email here now that that has got the spreadsheet?
MX? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. The email came from Hemuna.
Okay, it came from Hemuna. Okay, let me make sure I go to the right one. My kids would already be complaining that, Dad, you're behaving like an old man now.
Not
okay.
Okay, you've got the
You
memo.
don't say it. I've got the memo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. According to what has been proposed, is that for first prize in the individual category is 30,000 rand for individual category. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, Vanisha, that then becomes something else if the overseas option becomes available.
Yes, MX, that's right.
That's right. So until the judges say otherwise, the first prize for the individual is going to be 30,000. The first prize for the group category is 30,000 each. That is for the first option. Should it be that the judges say that, well, the standard is such that it deserves an international trip, then they will qualify then instead for the international trip. So again, the judges will make that call. For the second prize, on the individual one, for each person, I will start with the individual, it will be 20,000 rand. And then for the group one award, each participant in that group will also get 20,000 rand. Now, if it's a trip, the second prize will be a national trip. Now, each of these trips, whether it's international or national, they've got allowances that go with it, pocket money allowances. So for the first prize, it's a 10,000 pocket allowance. For the second prize trip is a 5,000 allowance, pocket allowance. Am I getting it right so far, Vanessa?
Yes, it is in the, it's in the memo as such, yes, MX. And
I just want to make sure that I'm reading this memo correctly.
and also, Mongezi would like to give feedback on behalf of the judges.
Oh, okay, let me get to the third prize now. The third prize for the individual is 10,000 Rand. And the third prize for the team one is an individual will also get 10,000 Rand. And that is and there is no, unfortunately, trip that goes for either the group or the individual prize, but they will get the 10,000 Rand, all of them. Okay, I think I am through with my part. It is now up to the judges to make their ruling. And I hand over to Mongezi, because I hear that you are going to be the bearer of the news.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. CEO, Mr. Mkocha. Thank you very much for entertaining us as you go through this difficult task. The only instruction we can give to you in Exxaro, this is the only one. There is no other one we can.
That's not true, you guys. You know that.
Yeah, as a team, as you all know, that we came in here not knowing exactly who is going to win and which topic is going to be the winner of the day. But we do acknowledge the fact that to keep the tradition of the organization, the winning team will have an opportunity to go international as well, like everybody else that has done in the past. But I would not be, and we will not be in a position as panelists today to announce where that international trip will be. In due course in the organization, then we'll look at maybe strategic points in the world where you can go and perhaps learn to bring some knowledge in the organization. But if I were you, I would take that upon myself, meaning that yourself, because you have the outlook, you have done the great work in terms of investigation. So your suggestions, I would think, will also be taken into account. We would not just unilaterally send you anywhere if you're not, we have not done the research there. And the key to this is perhaps to go out there, come back, apply the knowledge in the organization. And I'm sure there's great expectations out there, even the people who are not with us today, to perhaps see you again sharing your knowledge to say this is what can be done from the privilege we were given by the organization. I thank you.
So with that, then it means then the number 2 team is going to go national.
Correct.
On a national trip.
Yes.
Yes. Now, I just also want to take this moment also to remind that there was a team that won an international trip last year. But because of COVID, they could not fulfill being able to go on that trip. We have not forgotten you. Your first moment of being able to go on this trip, once all regulations have been lifted that enables international travel, you will be allowed to go on that expedition. And I think, as in the past, these expeditions are an opportunity for you to go and learn, to go and experience new cultures. But what I have seen also in the past is that the insights and the problems that the teams have been asked to go and look to find solutions for have been very, very useful when they've been brought back to us. So really, this is about enriching yourself, but it's also being able to bring back to the organization things that take us to the next level. And so you become our ambassadors of really going out there and learning and bringing things back that takes this organization to another level. Yes, whilst you are there, also have fun, but responsible fun. And so with that being said, again, I just want to thank all of you. Like I said, you were all winners for me. And we appreciate everything that you have done for this organization and continue doing for this organization. And we still look to you for many other great things that you are all still going to do for this organization. And we are proud that we all belong to the same family. Thank you very much. And with that being said, now, Sandile, I think my part of the job, having been instructed, having been coached, I hope I met your expectation. Otherwise, I may not find myself having this job next year if I didn't. So, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkolisi. You have exceeded my expectation. I would like to give a thank you to the entire executive team, the host, Chris Ballard, Sunet, and the entire staff that made this symposium a success. Let's not forget our digital scrubber who has been hard at work, and he will share some of his final pieces. This is Pika 2.0, Bernard's project. This is Love Your Mother, presenting on climate change. The third piece is for Matthews, presenting on MSDS. Not forgetting the Africanization group. Our last individual, Tivali. And also the mining Invigorators. PITs, you will all receive a final art of this piecework. It's yours to keep and yours to share with your loved ones. Isn't it beautiful? Thank you so much, Jenny. I would like to close today's symposium with a poem by Orlando Caesar entitled Frontline Leadership. When in the clenches or against the rope, or in the trenches where it's hard to cope, in the battle to succeed, on the front line is where you lead. To make decisions cowards fear to broach, you are on the field as a player and a coach. To give followers what they need, on the front line is where you lead. You are the traction on a slippery slope. Your plans and actions are symbols of hope. Momentum grows by word and deed. On the front line is where you lead. So by example, you show them the way. You've rolled up your sleeves and joined in the fray. For in the battle to succeed, on the front line is where you lead. This is just a thank you message to Exxaro's leadership, from the CEO and executive members all the way to junior supervisors, but not forgetting all the employees for making the company's dream a possibility, powering possibilities in Africa and beyond. A special thanks to the CEO, Mr. Mxolisi Mkojo, the host, Chris Ballard, the judges, and Sunette van der Merwe, the talent pipeline head, for making this symposium a success. And with that being said, I would like to say to you all, I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that's a wrap.